Here we are, another Saturday Night Live. Saturday, May 9th. Mayday, Mayday.
It's a divine nine today.
We need more pluff than ever.
It's a divine nine today.
Yeah.
Yes,
How come I can't do this one here? Okay, one person.
May 9th of May 2020.
Is it 99999?
Yeah, it's a divine nine.
So it's getting more interesting. Is the only word I can choose because I can't believe what's happening out there. Judith is coming in. Let me. Hi, Judith. It was on my end. Sorry about that. I have two places to check where my sound's coming from. But when more people come in, then I know it's me. So how's everybody doing?
Good.
Excellent. Couldn't be better.
Good.
Cheers. Drink some tea. And continue. We had our hardware stores open today. Home Depot's back open with long lineups.
They closed them up there?
They were closed. We were only able to do.
No, they left that open. This is how crazy it is here in this state. They left open the grocery stores, the Home Depots, all those stores. But they close all the restaurants. Now, when the restaurants open on the 20th, they're only allowing them outside service. Yet all these other places are opening, and it's like.
So they can have people come.
Our restaurants have been open this whole time.
Have they?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's been for like delivery or takeout.
Yeah, takeout's open, but
Yeah.
sit down.
Yeah,
But even when they open here.
Oh, you mean
only
open
for
for like
outside
sit
seating.
down?
No inside seating.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's insane.
Yeah, I think.
Yet all these other places are open.
It's got to keep sending pluff. Today we had snow.
Here too.
Yeah.
46 degrees and it was snowing. How does that happen?
We were in the minuses last night, and this morning it was around -10.
It was cold.
And a little bit of snow stayed on the ground for a bit. I don't remember seeing snow in May.
Not at 46 degrees either.
Global warming.
Research that one a little bit, how that happens. You'd be amazed how they can do that.
Yeah, they've been controlling the weather for years. If you look
Called
at
chemical ice nucleation.
Weather Control Act, Canada has, and it's been since the 70s. So
Go back farther.
exactly,
70 years.
for them to bring out an act,
Yeah.
it was already happening for who knows how long, because it started getting,
Patents go back to the late 1890s.
wow.
So anybody who wants to keep denying it, all you got to do is look.
Yeah.
Again, like everything else, they don't even hide it anymore.
No, the answers were always in plain sight, and they always have to give you notice. Like right now, they're being completely blunt about everything they're doing.
Yeah.
We're out there. We're going to kill you. We're going to enslave you. Blah. That's basically what they're saying. Yeah, okay, they can try. We're going to send them more plots,
It's
because
amazing. Wow.
if it was up to me, I'd put them all in jail for 9 years on Master Fast.
You're too generous.
Yeah. I give them two choices: Master Fast for 9 years, or commit suicide.
Commit suicide. I will not kill you.
One or the other.
I'll go with that one.
Give them a choice.
Hey Gino, you give them master fast for 9 years, but you make them drink raw grape juice instead of concentrated.
We want them to purge their caca.
You give them half of the scenario.
It's just like, wow, man. Like every morning, I wake up, I'm going, is it over? Is this a nightmare? And no, it's really happening.
But it's amazing also how many people are awakening to the whole thing, right? Because they have time now.
Yeah, like today we've seen about 50% of people wearing masks versus 70%.
100%.
100% there. Well, you guys got
Well, like I said, I was in Costco. It's mandatory.
Oh yeah, inside.
You don't have to. I mean, it's not mandatory by the state, but they're requiring it. The stores require it.
right. Yeah, the stores don't want to be liable because what happens is if somebody gets contacts, gets COVID, whatever, they go shut down the store for whatever how long they want.
Right?
So they're doing it for liability reasons. The stores, like there's one of the Oriental stores, supermarkets. You go in, they give you a mask. Last time I went, I refused. They didn't say anything. I just walked in. I was the only one in the whole store with no mask.
Yeah, I took mine out, and they don't really care, but I think they want to show that we care. To.
It's for liability. It's liability.
It's a Chinese.
You know, they're trying to bring out some more draconian laws to completely destroy your premises if anybody's infected. It's just like insanity.
What they're doing to the food supply is incredible. Like I said, all the meat cases in Costco, you know how big Costco is. They got a whole lot of freaking meat they sell. There was nothing. There was probably 12 packages of ground beef. The rest of the case usually holds pork products and all the beef cuts. Empty. All the chicken cases, empty. I'm like, holy moly. And they're calling all the herds at the same time.
Well, you know what the plan is, right? To go into the lab-grown meats.
Yeah.
Which Billy has heavy interest in. Yeah.
What about the fruits and vegetables?
Good supply. Well, usually the stacks are like 4 feet tall. So they were down. They were probably about 2 feet. So it's the first time in Costco I've seen carts full of, vegetable and fruit products.
Because they have no choice.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, except if you eat meat. I guess it's a bad thing. But
I went to Costco today, and there was still plenty of everything.
I guess it depends on which state and what area.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do notice, like I look at the shelves and stuff, they're not jammed full like they used to be. And all the stores you go to, you can see some areas, they're dwindled down. It's not the same. It's starting.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is still, imported. Most, especially here. I don't know how it is up there, but we still import.
Oh, we import everything.
A ton of stuff from China, and those supply lines are not open.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
And with all the rhetoric, who knows? They may never be open.
Steve, where are you located?
Connecticut.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought.
Bastion of liberalism.
I'm from New Jersey originally.
Yeah, you're pretty close.
Well, we know doesn't really matter who's in. There's a puppet master.
Yep.
Who controls the whole show. Like the stuff that's going on up here. I know, man. Wow.
He's
Australia.
a freaking lunatic. Trudeau, he's a freaking lunatic.
Oh man. These are globalists.
Yeah.
Globalists, they have an agenda. He just sent the WHO, I think I mentioned last time, $800 million. $800 million.
Yes, that's what
he just renovated his the cottage that the prime minister uses here. $2.5 million renovation.
Oh, nice. No conflict of interest there, huh?
They have no shame. They will do as they please.
Well, I
no
think
repercussions. There's no.
I think they're starting to run scared though.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to bring in all these draconian laws.
Yeah.
To protect themselves, get rid of the guns, and so on and so forth. And
good luck
blah
with
blah
that.
blah. But we have the power of the plath. Don't underestimate the power of the plath.
You know what? I don't know if it's doing any good out there, but I'm much better since I started really sending out the plath.
You mean you feel better?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, there, you know, fighting them in the material world, that's what they want.
Yeah.
They want us to be angry. They want us to be, you know, and it's not going to work if we do that. It's been happening for, you know, ever since we've been around on this planet, and this is where we are. We have to change our ways.
You know, it's nice because in a way this whole change, because it's a big shake for humanity. We were sleeping.
It's
We
our
were like,
opportunity.
okay, you know,
I think it's our last opportunity, but it is our opportunity.
yeah.
We have
Could be,
Really change to change the way things are done here.
yeah. Elsa joined.
like a big change, a big, huge.
Huge change.
Yeah, it's
Whole
not gonna be
paradigm
this
shift,
whole,
right.
It's gonna be like upside down for a bit,
Mhm.
and then a big change.
Yeah.
I feel, you know.
Hi, Kurt. Hi, Elsa. The floor is open. Spill your beans. Laugh it out.
Yeah,
I have
think
something
it's
to share.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Me?
Judith.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Hello. Thank you, Kurt. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to share an experience that I had lately because I'm on day 4 on dry.
Okay.
And then in the past, I've done 5 days dry in the past few times, even before Masterclass. And then I realized actually that before, in the past, I always, you know, because you think, oh, it's the last time, so I'm just going to eat some food that I like before I jump the next day on a fast, which actually didn't help me because my 5-day dry fast were really hell. They were just so hard. And then I was extremely weak physically during all, I think I've done 5-day master dry for probably 5 times in the last 3 years.
Okay.
But this time, instead of eating, and it was always fruit and vegetables anyways, it was nothing too nasty, but still I realized how it was so impactful on a dry, actually, once you do the dry. So this time I spent the last 3 days before the fast, so I was on a juice, then 3 days before I jumped the fast, I cleaned my colon like really well for 3 days. And
much easier, right?
So different. Sorry?
Much easier.
Yeah, much easier. It's like day and night for me. It's really like day and night, and then like so much energy. And then because when I was doing the dries as well, I'm going to a very stage of, I've got so much emotion, so much anger coming out of me when I go, even on a master fast, but on a dry it's even deeper. At this time, I do still have those emotions and everything, but
we still love you, don't worry.
Yeah, I know. But they don't really impact my day compared to before. Like I was just, yeah. So yeah, please people, before a full fast, clean your colon. That's the secret.
That's the secret. It's in the protocol. It's a massive fast secret.
It's hidden right in plain sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's very difficult to, what's the word? For people to implement new information and start to understand what it's about until they start experiencing it. You know, no matter how much we say it, write it down, read it, once you start experiencing it, then you start understanding. It's always been like that, and it always will be like that. Until we can connect plasma to plasma, like telepathically, which more people would understand, and experience in the realm of fields, we have to do it this way. So it's wonderful. Like I've watching people dry fasting for all these years and seeing people doing crazy things, like pigging out just before the dry fast, then staying in bed for their dry fast, like just total insanity. It's just, they just don't have an understanding, a basic understanding of how the body works. We only have a basic understanding. We don't claim to know anything. We have a basic simple understanding, and we
What to do.
base it on the simple formula that Arnold Ehret gave us over 100 years ago. V equals P take away O. And once you gain that little bit of knowledge with that, you start understanding that it's always about the freaking obstructions on the physical, mental, and emotional. And, if we can clean out the physical, we can feel the mental and emotional emptying out, and we can have a much better experience when we are in our divine natural states, without eating. It's so simple, so simple. The washing out that GI tract, like another thing. Anytime anybody has whatever ailment or whatever, it always goes back to ask, what did you eat?
Obstructions.
Always, 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 always. And if it's not, the meal right now, it could be the meal from last night or whatever. It always goes back to that, always obstructions. And what emotions were happening, when you were eating that meal also is as important, if not more important than what you ate. So there's many, many, many factors. Like we never claim that we know it all. We're always saying we've just scratched the surface of understanding. And just by that little scratch of understanding that we have jumped leaps and bounds to allowing ourselves to get the soul to work in autopilot. That's really the key, because we don't have to think about anything. And even if we try and think about how things work and what's going on, it's not going to help us, because it's you know what I mean? There's no sense to it. So just empty out the GI tract, surrender to the soul, have trust in it, and just keep focusing on the simple, basic things to continuously clean out the obstructions, and keep it simple. Keep it simple, and the experiences will become better and better and better. Yeah, we're going to still have emotions coming, this and that. We're carrying, Judith, we're carrying lineage from way back, and you've had just in your generation of your parents and stuff, what you went through in your experiences. That's a lot to carry. Never mind what's before that.
Lifetime.
Yeah.
Many lifetimes. So we're all carrying, who knows, all kinds of stuff that is part of us. We cannot separate from it, no matter what we do. But we can bring balance to it, and that's a beautiful thing. We know that we can bring balance to it. Like even Satan can, surrender back to the divine state if he wants. But he's got free will, and he's staying where he's at. Just to give you an example. So there's the road for balance for every living species, non-living species throughout all the universes. That's the way it has always functioned, and continues to function, and will continue to function in perfection. Otherwise everything would self-destruct. And it's a beautiful thing to that is part of our being, to have that understanding that no matter what, we always have that opportunity to go back to balance. It's always there, always available. Nobody is denied. Even the most diabolic, pathetic fleshes that are moving on this planet, they have that opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, if they choose to go out with a bang in total diabolicy, my understanding is their soul gets scattered through nanoparticles throughout, the universes until they choose to find balance. So we always have that opportunity. No matter how many times we fall off, we, brush off and continue. It's part of the journey. What happened here? Oh, somebody's sharing their screen.
It's okay.
If you can stop that sharing. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, Gino, that's exactly what it says in Mahayana Buddhism. The Devil King, um, repented and became a Buddha. You know, he was the most evil entity, and but he has the Buddha nature, right? So it's like right out of the Lotus Sutra.
Hmm.
What you were saying.
Interesting. Never read it.
My problem is breaking the fast. Going into it, I can do it. I can do the protocol, but I tend to eat too much when I break it. I did another 39-hour. I finished yesterday, but then last night I ate plenty of food. But do you think if you go into it well,
we don't suggest people do long dry fasts. We suggest people do their daily 12s once a week, 24, and once a month, 3 days, and then every season change. You know, you do that 4 or 5 days if you can, or longer if you're experienced. That been doing this for a few years.
And
That's what we
liquid,
suggest.
and doing the liquid part, liquid master fast.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys pretty much think like a day and a half is too long. That's too long.
You're doing things.
You're eating most of the time, right? So most of the days. So it's better if you really want to.
Hello, Heather.
Yeah, if you really want to clean up, I would add more. I would add liquid days as well. Master fast liquid days. So.
You just heard what Judith was saying, how much challenges she had before on her long dry fast, because she was basically eating a raw food lifestyle, mostly fruit, from my understanding, right, some veggies, and she was having major challenges with these long dry fasts. Now on master fast, following the protocol, it's getting easier and easier and easier for her.
But those were 4-day, right? She's doing four days.
5 days, yeah. But this,
in general, it's not easy to dry fast when the balls are not very, are when they're backed up.
What happens when your GI tract is full of food, and you go on a dry fast? All that emphasis is going in that area on the dry fast.
Yeah, it's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, so have some liquid fasting days.
It's not prudent. I'm not going to say it's wrong. It's not prudent in my eyes, from my experiences. We have a way that works very well, better than anything else that I've seen in 30 years.
If you want to go deep with cleansing and detoxing as a lifestyle, then I would add more liquid days for sure. I wouldn't just be dry.
Just, this is what we're doing, John. We're squeezing every day 12 hours, 13, 14 if you're really, really experienced. You can do that. If you're super experienced, you can be doing longer, but you got to be really basically in a liquidarian type of lifestyle. We're doing that little squeeze every day. Every week we give it a bigger squeeze, 24. Every month we do a nice, good squeeze for 3 days. And then every season change, we really give her and try to get to that 5 days. Newbies, they're not going to be doing 5 days right away, but over time, everybody will be able to get to 5 days.
If you just keep practicing.
Everybody will do it. If you just keep practicing through all the levels we have of dry fasting to work your way up to the dry. If you can't, do it at the first few months.
Yeah, and there are different levels of dry. So if you want to go, like the easiest one would be colon feeding, where you wash your colon while you're dry fasting. It's not complete dry, but at least it helps you. So it's a much milder form of dry, but it does help you go deep as well.
If you just think, the whole concept of master fast is to move out obstructions. That's it. We don't focus on nutrition. We don't focus on minerals or vitamins, amino acids. We don't focus on any of that nonsense stuff that's out there.
We don't really.
We've all gone down those roads, and it only brought me confusion, more and more and more confusion, and got me in trouble going down those roads of sciences. Because at the end, they don't take you down the road to find balance. because you're working with addition.
Well,
So
then
you-
let me ask you then. In that case, if a person is perfectly,
James perfect.
well, I mean, I just mean that if a person really knows themselves and knows that they're going to eat solid food in a given week, and they have the ability to fast, whether it's wet or dry fasting, and they can do it, and they have the discipline to do it, but they know they're going to be eating a certain number of meals per week. Then how do you give advice to that person?
Follow
No,
the
it's not
Master
Master Fast.
protocol.
Huh?
It's not Master Fast. We don't.
Well, it's not Master Fast, but like if you do Master Fast days, if you do all fruit days, and if you do some fasting, is there any kind of happy medium where you can utilize the ideas in Master Fast, but also know that tomorrow night you're going to have a meal or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, we're not all fasting on Master Fast all the time, right?
Some
There
people are doing the hybrid.
and if you want to eat within like every day almost, or every day, or even a few days a week, you can do the Master Fast hybrid. If you don't want to give up food, you're not ready to give up food, then you can do Master Fast hybrid, which is Master Fast for the first part of the day, and then at the end of the day you can add a fruit meal and then a vegetable meal. So you're eating, but you're using all the stuff in the Master Fast.
And your dry fasting schedule, which I just mentioned.
The dry fasting schedule is always the same. It doesn't change whether it's hybrid or full Master Fast.
Yeah.
And the levels as well. When you're doing any of the levels, we do recommend that you keep, of course, your the schedule. Now,
we have all bases covered in the whole protocol. There's,
yeah.
There's a way that anybody can make it work for themselves, no
Yeah.
matter what their belief system or where they came from.
Yeah.
There's a way
Yeah.
that anybody can make it work, and you can start on any level you want or whatever.
So you'll have to see what works for you. We do eat. Not everybody is like we don't.
Because I mean, I'm dry every night, just the way I've always been. Like I'm always like 12 hours or 13 hours dry.
Yeah, that's great. But it's
mean,
more.
but-
Master Fast is more than that, right? Like the level.
I know, but it's like, at least it's this part of my lifestyle that I stopped drinking and eating after a certain time,
It's great.
Yeah.
So that's easy to do that. Anyway, thanks. I was just like thinking like, I don't fully understand the hybrid aspect, but I have some ideas about it.
The more we can keep the stomach empty, the more hours a day we keep the stomach empty, the better.
Yeah.
Even when you're eating, right?
The hybrid is very simple. It's just you're doing Master Fast, and then at the end within that day, you're eating at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So this is for kids and older people who don't see themselves fasting, right? Some older people don't see themselves fasting. Whatever you tell them or whatever you do, they're not ready. They will not fast for a whole day. So then we said, okay, then you can do the hybrid. And then some people lived on the hybrid. So we're like, okay, well then anybody can do this, if this is what works for you. Whatever works for you, you have to find out. But I do recommend that you have some fasting days and some eating days. And if you want to go deeper with your cleanses, with cleansing and detoxing and feeling better, of course, then increase your fasting days. And that's not only dry, liquid and dry.
Yeah, the thing with people eating 7 days a week, no, you're going to plateau. I don't care what diet you're in. The least obstructive diet, which is fruitarian, you're going to still come to a plateau. We've had,
or even like 6 days a week of eating and 1 day of dry fasting. I still not.
We've had many of those.
Not
like,
enough, I would say.
The amount of actual fruitarians around the world that can sustain that for many, many years, you're not going to find many.
Yeah, they always fall off.
Yeah, number one is because the fruit quality.
Yeah.
If you're not in an area where you're having, the best ripe fruit, it's not going to happen. Who wants to eat unripe fruit? Seriously. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to stay content eating fruit that's not ready. Not going to happen. So that's why we have all the things we do in the protocol, because we are faced with common sense here and with reality of the situations that most everybody's living with. So, you know, going down the road of fruitarianism is all wonderful and dandy in theory, but when you look at it, who's been doing it for 10 plus years or more? How many people can you find on the planet? And I'm going to tell you, there's not many. And I'm going to tell you also that many people who went down those roads, they go wacko, completely crazy. Like some of them went to eating raw meat, after doing fruitarianism for a while.
Yeah.
Why? Because they didn't work on subtraction. The body cannot find balance eating fruit. You're gonna get to you're gonna start removing obstructions up to the point level of the obstructiveness of the food you're eating, and you're not going to get further than that. And if you're not fasting, all the old stuff that you've eaten, you're not going to get rid of it. It's still in your body. It's the only way you're going to get all those heavy-duty emotion and obstructions out, which is also part of the physicality through the eating cycle and your ancestors and so on, is fasting. All the spiritual gurus taught about fasting. And it's not because of the health reasons for physicality only. It's much more than that. The physical is the bonus. It's the bonus. The physical, when you get healthy, it's a bonus. It's to connect with yourself, your higher self, your soul,
discipline,
and really find and face the mirrors of your truth, and know your purpose, and so on and so forth. And that's what fasting is about. The physical stuff, it's all bonus.
So I would not eat most days. You're gonna be hungry. If you're wondering why you're having a tough time, I would say, when you're going from the extreme, which is dry, to food, I would have more liquid days, which will not, when you're doing many more liquid days, you're not going to be as hungry. The more you fast, the less hungry you will be. But you have to establish a routine, and it does take time. It does take a few weeks before you feel comfortable on any of the levels, because you will always be like at the beginning, you will be teasing yourself. You will be teasing.
Yeah, I've had some really cool, like, I'm definitely getting benefits from the dry fast. Yesterday, I was getting ready to break. I did 38 hours yesterday, and I was getting ready to break it, and I was so heart heavy. I was feeling really emotional, and my heart was pounding, but I felt awesome. I felt like it was very strange. I felt super emotional, and I felt really good at the same time. And so I feel like,
Have you done any drugs in your past?
Well, I do ayahuasca.
No, not plant. I'm talking about drugs, like any pharmaceuticals or street drugs.
Not hard drugs, only a little bit when I was like 19 or 20. And then I smoked weed like when I was in my 20s, but like not in a very long time. Like, I'm very austere, generally speaking. I don't drink.
Prescription drugs, nothing?
No.
Never?
I don't do prescription drugs. I don't take.
In your whole lifetime, I'm talking about.
In my whole lifetime? Only like when I've taken some antibiotics, okay. a few courses of antibiotics.
Any exposure to chemicals or stuff in your life?
I worked outdoors for 15 years, running a chainsaw and equipment. So yeah, I've definitely been around. I've definitely been around that. I grew up in a car dealership, my family car dealership. So I was around automobiles. And so yeah, I mean, I'm exposed to.
Well, we all are, but some of us more than others. But the reason I'm asking, John, is because whenever you see anything with heart when you're in fasting state, it's usually tied to some sort of drugs, specifically mostly chemicals, et cetera, toxins like that.
Anything with heart?
Heart. Anytime you feel anything with a heart, like palpitations, racing, whatever, pounding, when you're in a fasting state, it's tied to the body's trying to get rid of something.
Yeah, caffeine, like tea. I was drinking black tea, like pretty seriously. And then I quit before I did my first dry fast. I quit. So it's been 3 weeks today that I'm off black tea. And, but you know, my heart beats slowly, but it beats really heavy. It's like boom, 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 you know? So,
body's trying to release something.
yeah, I thought after the first dry fast, I thought it was caffeine, but now I'm thinking it's just like general. Somebody said it was the viscosity of the blood starts to get thick when you're on a fast.
Yeah, that's because, again, I am sure the body's trying to release something. We don't try to analyze it so much, but your body's trying to release something.
No, I wasn't trying to analyze, but I was just saying that it was kind of cool because I felt good. Like I was happy, I felt good, but my heart was pounding.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary, and that's why we, please be prepared in every way possible, and be prudent with what you do. You know, because it's and don't overdo it. That's why we tell people, don't overdo the dry. We're not ready.
Yeah.
Really.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Hello, Lisa. Lisa popped in.
I was tending to the farm.
Very good.
I was
Doing battle?
yeah, going to battle. I talked to Steve this morning. It's really fascinating. I'm trying to sort of sit back in the sort of setbacks that I'm having, but just, observe them too for what they are.
Learning experience.
Yeah, and we're not the only ones here to eat, who want to eat. We're not, there's just, somebody else wants to eat. They just happen to want to eat the same thing that I do. So lots of little critters, and
You created the perfect environment for them, that's all.
yeah. And then we had there's just so many experiences happening all at once. And so yesterday, my neighbor, who we like to go visit, she said, "Oh, look what happened to my plant. The leaves are gone, and I found these darn caterpillars." Well, it turned out the darn caterpillars were monarchs. And so she'd thrown 7 across the street. So I said, "Oh gosh, we don't want to lose them. What kind of plant were they eating?" She said, "Milkweed." So I had my husband go run to the store to go buy milkweed before they closed, and I took them home and put them in a mason jar with a mesh cover. And but then she said when she realized what they were, she asked for them back. So I brought them back, and we were kind of excited about them. Well, this morning they were almost all gone. Something had come overnight and eaten them, and it was crushing. But she did find a few today, and she put them inside in a porch area. So many emotions to go through with something. It's like attachment, and then you want to have non-attachment, and help life, but then you don't want the life eating your stuff. So yeah, fascinating. So I sprayed some neem oil solution tonight.
Good.
But then I found that as I was spraying, I think there's some other fungus growing on my squash plants. Like, it's 3 different skin conditions that my plants have. But on the plus side, I stood out there and I was able to pick 3 ripe tomatoes. So it was cool, to have that happen. But you just think about consumption and quantity when you're doing this so much, and you just wonder. I ate 3 tomatoes tonight from the garden. Well, can I sustain the family, for a day on the 3 tomatoes, or. But then what are we really eating? How many, when we go to have tomatoes, how many are we eating? And then I've also been thinking, Gino, about what you said about when we were talking about seeds and quinoa and how those are all little souls. And it's really interesting to think about the size of the souls, the amount of the souls. When we got a seeded watermelon this week, and you look at you eat it so differently. You're looking at all of these beings, and you're enjoying this fruit, but at the same time, you can really see the quantity at which you should have, which is a really small quantity, because all these other beings also need to be able to eat and repopulate. And then you think, I've been doing so much thinking, so I'm pouring it out here, but the mango tree, right? It has to grow so big. And we just think, oh no, get some mangoes, get a crate of mangoes, eat your fruit, fruitarian, eat a whole crate of mangoes. I published a picture almost a year ago. I made this huge plate of food. It was too much, but what did it look like? It looked like everybody else's plate of food out there. And so you have to grow this giant mango tree, and then it's going to produce this big fruit. But that one big fruit is so precious and so large, and the seed is so large with it too. It's such a being. So one of these should suffice, really, when you're looking, not a crate of them. How can how hard is it going to be for me to make my own crate of mangoes from this, So there's so much more appreciation there and thought now that I'm having about where we really fit in with all that lives with us. And this whole culture we live in with meals, balanced meals, restaurant meals, holiday meals. What is this stuff? It is so foreign. It is so disconnected. It is so manufactured. It is such a religion. It is so much emotion and cultural baggage. And I was talking to somebody today about, she mentioned she had allergies. And I just said, well, if you're ever interested in a different lifestyle, I could talk about allergies with you. But she said, well, I tried the Whole30 diet. And I said, well, yeah, okay, I had tried that stuff in the past. She said it was so restrictive. And I'm thinking restrictive. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't even think, I had been so long since I thought of that term in terms of what I eat. Maybe I struggle with quantity and restriction like that.
Well, if you look at most people's diet, they're mostly restricted. They eat a few things over and over and over.
Right, this is true.
When you eat a plant-based diet, there's so much stuff it opens up to you.
Yeah. So fascinating. We just had some time being raw as a family here, and that was good. I see us going back. As one of the two leaders of the household, I really like to have things be as simple as possible because it's so important. I struggle with all of the madness, and I want just the most simplicity that I can get to. And I'm trying to really honor that. In fact, I have a little accomplishment to share today. I made day 7 of consecutive meditation in the morning.
Nice. Awesome.
And, thank you. Yes. Felt really good. I started the 7 days with a few master fast days, which were enlightening. And it's there's no perfection in what I'm in the meditation I'm doing. I'm so new to it still, and I'm sure I will be in years to come. But it really does make every difference. And I find it to be such an important component of the less is more lifestyle, because there is so much, just like Drang talked about, just so much information flooded at us. And as we're eliminating the excess or waste from our bodies, I find that the mind can be much more sensitive to the quantity of information and chaos around us.
Yeah, well, look at what more knowledge has brought us. More and more freaking confusion, more problems. We need more knowledge, more knowledge.
More time, yeah. More, it's hard, even as a parent too. Even there's so many classes to take, and there's this thing to study and that thing for the kids to study, and we get to choose what we do. But I found that even as a homeschool family, we were still quite wrapped up in the hustle and bustle of things and putting unnecessary pressures on ourselves because it's just there. That thing is there, that class is there, you can go to here, rush to there, blah blah blah. But I'm quite happy with our decisions right now, with where we've gotten to as a family, to sort of focus on few things and then have a lot of time for space for the mind. Like tonight, we went on a really nice walk around the neighborhood, and it really is refreshing that that we can just, I love that it's our habit that we can just walk outside and be completely entertained with just walking and being, and there's no music going on, there's no destination of a restaurant or an ice cream cone, which is what we're so usually focused on. Well, I'll go there because I'll get a juice. I'll go there because there's a great restaurant. But we just did that tonight, and it just felt so good. You just feel like, your arms and your legs are free, and the air smells good, and I'd like more people to enjoy that too. So yeah, there's some musings from the from the Florida perspective here. It's gorgeous. We walked on the beach at sunset the other day, and
They're open?
yeah, sort of. I mean, like they're open in the physical sense, but are they open in terms of the metaphysical? Let us be free. There's cops everywhere. It's control. Police state. They actually ran over a guy here yesterday. It's really sad. A poor beachgoer. Yeah. My neighbor was telling me about, this beach is so great. And then that's the beach the poor guy got run over. But, they're policing it for what? It's, beyond the realm of good ideas. But, it's another nice thing about not having to have the pressure of a late or normal time dinner, is that you can have dinner early, and then you have this whole open evening. You can go do another adventure. You can pack up, you can go for a walk, around your neighborhood. For us now, we can go to the bay, watch dolphins, go to the beach, walk in the sand. Or we've been planting trees a lot. We have a lot going here. We've got 6 bananas, different types, 3 mango trees, an egg fruit tree, a sapodilla, and I gave away seedlings yesterday, and that felt really good too. Another nod to Steve, who just got up, but yeah, Steve gives away lots of food, and so I had the experience of being able to gift probably at least 20 seedlings last night.
Nice.
That was good.
Abundance everywhere.
Sharing sharing, talking. Oh, the people, actually, they were great people who picked them up. They were down to earth. They shook my hand. Like, wow, that's a big deal right now. My gosh, I cannot believe what people have sacrificed with human contact. It's absurd.
It's insane.
Yeah. So, we do what we can.
How are you, Kurt?
That's about it. No, in short, I, whatever you want to call it, fell off to level 2. And yeah, interesting couple weeks.
Yeah.
I got some life things I need to take care of before I start master fasting, I think, or even live in a lifestyle. So
Yeah, we all have things to work on all the time, right?
I think it's the mirror of truth, and it's like, to me, this is how I see fasting: is it's a portal to see clear into your own life. And if you're not ready to let go or surrender certain things, then it's not going to be a smooth ride. And it's not like if you're just completely stuck. It takes, like, for instance, Gino, it took 25 years to live the lifestyle you live now, right? And it took experience. Well, for me, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's a decision to start living level 2 or if I have to go through life experience to be mature enough to handle living that lifestyle. You know what I mean?
I don't think I've ever seen anybody go through a smooth ride.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Well, true.
A smooth ride. We all fell off, and we all are falling off here.
This is life.
And we all have challenges. And even if you become liquidarian, you're gonna have challenges. Life is not. This is life. This is how we grow.
Yeah.
Embrace the journey of growth and learning, and let's not be hard on ourselves. And trust me, we are nowhere near perfect. We're learning. It's been almost 5 years now, and still learning and still making small mistakes here and there, or big mistakes sometimes. And I pay the price. I don't do them for too long sometimes, but sometimes I do them. And I feel it. It does not feel good. It's not like before starting, when I do mistakes. Now I feel everything, and you see, I think sometimes I give up for a few days. Not forever. That's why I'm still here. But yeah, and one thing I think we want to is very important is for us to not give up. And I think Gino's very good with that. If he gives up maybe for a day, but he will not give up for a long time. His body will tell him. For me, I can give up for a few weeks. I mean, or a few days. Definitely more than him. But I
call
think
that a case of the efforts.
A what?
A case of the efforts.
All right, Steve, explain that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Efforts.
Well, isn't it the deeper you've gone and the longer you've been going on the road, the more sensitive the body is?
It's the ego not wanting to give up is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, right.
That's all it is.
But I was just
the ego fighting back.
Yeah, I'm talking about the physicality part.
Same part. It's all intertwined.
Yeah.
It's all one.
You can't separate them. You can't say I'm spiritual.
You cannot separate
this and that.
It's one.
It's all together. There's no one person, even like the spirituality, like it's all connected, and there's nobody.
No separation.
Closer, it's just.
I guess what I was trying to say is it may take time. Like, okay, so say level 2 is the lowest level, and if I'm having a hard time finding balance at that level, well, I'm not, who knows if I'll find balance if I go back to eating 7 days a week. I don't know. But I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I guess what I'm saying, if I can't find balance on that level, I guess what I'm saying is maybe it's going to take some life experience for me to realize things, for me to stabilize in certain aspects of my life or in my psyche before that's maybe productive for me, because I'm not yet mature enough, if you know what I'm saying, to.
You know what?
Not really.
Go for a level 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
that's what I was thinking, is because I'm eating
Absolutely.
too much. I don't know. Who knows?
yeah. Go for level 4 for the 1 week, and then the week after go down to a level 3 and see how that feels, and then the week after go back to level 2,
Yeah.
and then
Well, the funny thing is the best I felt was the first month on just fruit 5 days and 2 days of fasting and dry fasting. It was when, okay, I'm gonna try eating what was it, greens, or maybe.
Yeah.
And the snowball happened, and then it was okay. What other vegetables? Okay, what other? And so yeah, I did feel the best when I was eating the least obstructive level 2 diet and fasting. So
Are you talking the physical feeling or
both
holistically?
emotional. I was more balanced emotionally, physically, everything.
Well, yeah, Kurt, I was actually gonna say before Gina said it, the more you fast, the less cravings you'll have, the more control you'll have. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit, it's a little bit hard. Actually, it's harder, I would say, to keep it up for a long time, because you're feeling amazing when you're fasting and you're eating 5 days a week. It's a lot. It's even if it's 1 meal a day, you're teasing your body 5 times in a week. You know,
Mhm.
so I would do more. Maybe I would do level 5, 5 days of fasting and 2 days of eating. And are you gonna lose weight? Yeah, you lost weight even with that. With level 2, you're gonna lose weight, but maybe maybe level 5 is too much. Maybe do level 4, like Diane is doing level 4 and she's doing amazing. I mean, I am sure also she did mention a couple of times that she fell off. I think from what I remember, Christmas time, it's easy to fall off. You eat a little bit obstructive, cravings come. If you eat for many more hours in a day, like let's say you eat 9 hours instead of like 3 hours, you might feel you're gonna feel it harder the next day, and you might say, you know what, well, I gave in, I might as well keep going, keep eating. It's easy to give up, and what we want, I believe, for me, definitely what I want to work on is not to give up too much on myself. It's okay to feel down, but never give up. So that extreme kind of thinking, oh, that's it, I'm gonna give up food or give up on myself because this is because I'm not disciplined enough. Well, get more disciplined. Nobody's expecting us to be perfect. Just work on becoming more disciplined. I mean, it's really like prayer. You can be disciplined to pray, or you can you can be lazy and kind of and say I don't want to do the work.
Take the food out of the equation. Do you think, like, if you don't address certain aspects of your life, that fasting can be difficult, or no?
Yeah, but we all have challenges. Who doesn't? Show me one
fasting
person.
is what's going to help you bring the resolution, in my opinion. You're talking about you felt the best when you're doing the fruit and everything. So why did you continue doing that?
Yeah.
Why did you stop?
Yeah, why didn't you stay on that? I've never seen
It's
diets
easy to
bring
get
balance to
addicted
people. It's short term.
Well, I guess I ate some veggies, and then my mind rationalizes other reasons why I feel imbalanced, right? Other than what I'm eating. So I think it's something else, and then so I just keep eating. So that was probably why, I guess. But I can see now there's a correlation between how much you eat and what you eat and how you feel. I guess what I'm getting at is if it can be challenging to sustain balance with fasting if you're not going to address what the fasting state is revealing in your life. I could be wrong, but
Yeah,
I
but
just
why
feel
don't,
like, yeah,
why don't you work on them?
It's-
Why don't you work on them right now?
I
Why
agree.
are
Yeah.
working on your lifestyle diet too? Like don't like we don't want to separate them too much and say, okay, I'm gonna be ready after a month of, I don't know, family visiting or exams or something, you know.
Yeah.
Again, you know, I think we don't want to give up on ourselves. You can't give up on that part of your life, which is food. And you know, fasting is really not hard. We all know that it's not hard. It's just discipline. You know.
Well, I guess I think of that analogy Hans Peter was saying. I'm getting a bit of a feedback, but with the marathon, right? You can't decide. It's not like, oh, you didn't run the marathon because you decided to. It was you trained and you built up to that. So I guess that's how I'm looking at it. I guess it's just, am I will. I don't think if I go back to maybe no fasting that, oh, I'll probably, that's just my way of numbing out and continuing not to look at certain things. I feel like if you are cleaning out, you're being pulled into a certain direction of certain changes, and you have to surrender. And if you don't, good luck. And that's what I felt like was happening. Just certain family dynamics I wasn't addressing, career path, all these sorts of things. It's not going to be fun. For me, at least, I think it was harder to numb out to those aspects of my life. So,
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I go back to eating 7 days a week, it's probably just okay. I'll probably continue not doing anything about it and being numb to it. If you see what I'm saying?
Exactly. So you know the answer.
Yeah.
You want to sit down and really give it a good, maybe write it down. You know, see where the issues are, the challenges in your life.
Well, yeah, I thought starting getting some counseling or maybe taking some practical steps into those issues, then fasting will be a more of an organic, natural expansion rather than me trying to force something and not looking at those things, if you see what I'm saying.
It's not really forcing. It's a lifestyle. Okay.
Ask yourself.
It's your food. It's your food, and you're gonna eat. You know. So if you want to eat fruits and vegetables, go for that. You know, for now. Yeah. You know, fruits and vegetables are top, right? Fruits alone are the best. You know, the best. But if you can do that, you don't have to do it. You can do fruits, vegetables. But the thing is, another thing that you want to think about is how many hours. If you're eating all day, you're gonna be super hungry. You're gonna be craving. Yeah. So another thing you really want to work on is maybe within 3 hours. You know, I wouldn't be eating all day. Maybe do your best to start later in the day eating, so you don't end up eating all day. This way you eat less.
I wouldn't call it hunger. I'd call it cravings.
Cravings, definitely. Definitely, there's no hunger that doesn't exist.
You know, ask yourself before when you get these cravings, am I really hungry? Ask yourself 3 times.
He knows he's never hungry. We all know that. We're never hungry.
So, what's the point?
We start eating.
Pardon me?
Not hungry till we start eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're lacking, I guess. When we start eating, we start lacking. we lack the food. I don't know what we're lacking.
Kurt, when I quit drinking, that was relatively easy at the time. When the time came, it was relatively easy. But it took me years, probably 10 years to get sober. Because I did not address anything for 37 years.
Yeah.
It was all masked with the booze. Anytime anything would come up, I don't care what it was, any type of emotion, I would just drink it down.
And then you were saying 10 years into your clean.
Probably about the first 5, you really start understanding what's going on.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Understanding what's going on. I mean, there's minor changes happening because you removed all the external shit. But
Well, that's
I mean, you know, you want to talk about looking into a mirror of truth. Jesus.
yeah.
Like Kurt, you've heard Steve's story, right? What
Oh
he's
yeah.
Okay, so now look at your life, and is there anything that dramatic that you're going through compared to what he's gone through? Like, we're not trying to compare things, but I'm just saying, you know, challenging things. You know, sometimes you have to look at perspective. Sometimes we see things in our lives that we think is the
end of the world.
Yeah, the end of the world, whatever. Then when you hear somebody else's story, oh my God, mine's a walk in the park. You know, so
Yeah.
Steve can say the same thing. See somebody else, my God, my life's a walk in the park, and so on and so on and so on.
And stuff, you know.
So
It was probably, Kurt, it was probably 15 years. I bet you it was good 12 to 15 years before I came to terms with the past.
Yeah.
And we're still working on it.
And still, yeah, I mean, before I came to terms with it, I'm still working on it. That's a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's a lifetime.
I mean, it feels better than ever to be on this lifestyle, you know, to eat cleaner and to fast. So why not make it a lifestyle?
I'll tell you something. When I came here, when I was drawn into here, this just took everything to a whole nother level. I mean, there's no comparison to where I was a year ago to where I am today. Nothing has ever changed my life in this manner, in this short of a time frame than master fasting.
Yeah.
Kurt, sit down.
Focus.
Slow down your breath.
Just focusing.
All is well. It's no big deal when you fall off. It's part of the journey.
Yeah.
I'm not too upset about the falling off. It's just about, can I sustain a level of balance? Because it's clear, like, I had some emotional stuff going on even when I was on level 2. So
what's balance, Kurt? When we start off, it's erratic, and then it starts smoothing out. It's a constant
back and forth all the time, no matter what.
There's no
just trying to minimize the arcs. That's all.
And Kurt, I want to say something. I believe it's very easy to be depressed today because of a lot of things.
Oh, we're feeling it.
Yeah, now, but also even before that, right? You didn't have a job. You come from, maybe you had a little bit of depression history of depression. So you already were feeling imbalanced, right? And then now it's even like it's really easy for people to be lost today. Okay, not only you, but everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Even before this happened, before like December, it's easy for us to feel lost, especially when you're younger, you know, and you don't have a job that you love, and your family, maybe because you don't have a job, then there's the stress factor with the family. Things are not normal. I don't know, maybe relationships as well. So it's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself, but you know, have a plan for yourself. Sit down, have a plan. Think about what you love. Think about how you're gonna make it happen, and start living it. And of course, this lifestyle will only help you focus, right?
That's the thing, is like I have this belief, like, oh, the fasting is gonna make it harder, but it's like, no, maybe that'll make it easier.
Yeah.
Because it's harder to stay numb to the truth.
Yeah, 100%.
when you're on a subtraction path.
100%. I tell you, I have been through this so many times doing long master fasts. Okay, my focus was so sharp, but then, boy, when I fall off, it's hard. When I break it, it's hard. So it's not worth it. Being so sharp and then being so numbed out and then being so sharp, and then, like, it doesn't work. It's not sustainable, you know. So find your balance. It takes time to find the balance. A few weeks. If you fall within the first few weeks, it's okay, because it's hard the first few weeks. It's hard to find the balance. You will be teasing yourself once in a while when you go back to eating. And you just want to understand that it's okay. I'm building a habit the first
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks. And then you get comfortable, you get more confident.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, you know what? I feel amazing. I love the food. I love fasting. I love everything. And I am focused and I'm productive. And yes, okay, I feel a little bit, I feel a little bit bad after eating, but this is the best I can do. I am not pushing it. If you push it, you push more fasting, like I'm saying, like 6 days a week, or even liquidarian lifestyle, let's say, it's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much. You have to satisfy not only your spiritual side, but also we want to satisfy the ego a little bit, because you're making a deal with the ego here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to make the ego happy too.
I think if you feel like you're missing something from food, you're going too quick because you're not getting fulfilled from other things.
No. That's all in the addiction. That's the addiction talking.
Oh.
Wait, what did he say?
I was thinking that if
Addiction.
food have power over you, then it's because you're going too quickly.
Surrender.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll shut up. Anyway, on the good note, Ben's still living his lifestyle.
I have to
Don't give
understand
the
that.
food power. Just surrender. It doesn't have power over you unless you give it power.
I got an observation also, Kurt, that your presence hasn't been as heavy as it was a few months ago.
Yeah. You want to do that.
These things we deal with us that we need to deal with want us isolated. That's where the power lies for them.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be to stay connected a little better.
Yeah.
And things will definitely be much easier.
Yeah. I mean, you can see Kurt, you can see Steve. He's here more than anybody else. He's here for all the live Zooms and all the live Facebooks, right? He does not miss one of them. I mean, this is how he is. He's still attending the AA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. And that just says so much, right?
Yeah.
If it is to be, it's up to me. You got to get it done. You got to put in the footwork, right?
Yeah.
Never give up on yourself. We all do, but just slowly as you keep going, you will know that it's not worth it to give up for too long. If you give up for a little bit, for a day, then the next day say, okay, today I'm gonna.
It's just the ego. It still goes back to the ego because you're not getting the results you wanted as quick as you wanted. So the ego's saying that it's not worth doing this.
Right.
So
let me just clear up what I'm saying. I'm not saying I want to give up on the lifestyle. Here's what I wrote down the other day is how you say master fast isn't for everyone. Well, what I wrote is for me, it's not that it's not, it's about when is it appropriate is what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is, am I in a,
you're ready.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, oh, am I going to turn my back and never fast again? I'm saying, am I in a place in this moment in time to embrace it? And I don't know, this is right now, it could change tomorrow. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't have that part of me that's wanting to continue moving forward or questioning what's going on. I know I feel worse than when I'm eating fruit or doing 2 days. Absolutely. I know these things.
Yeah, it's still the ego. Still the
Okay.
ego. All go through it. Trust me. I'm going through it right now. Yeah. Like a few days ago, I started eating again. I want to eat only 1 or 2 days a week, but I found myself eating most days. So
yeah.
So it was
when did you guys do the 3-day? Did you finish? On Thursday was the full moon. Did you guys did 3 days, right?
No, I didn't do it this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I did the semi with the tinctures. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna do it 5 days, but I went to my friend's farm and he had the first cherry tomatoes of the season. He grows them in the greenhouse. So I broke right then and there. So I was semi-dry for 2.5 days. I ate for that afternoon and then I went right back on the semi. And today was dry. So it's been pretty much 6 days. except for that
Yeah,
little
because it was a
5 hours.
it was a Scorpio moon. Like I realized it was a Scorpio moon, and I'm a Scorpio, and I thought, oh man, I got to do a dry fast on the Scorpio moon.
Mhm.
And I went out and I looked at it on Thursday night, and it was cool. It was cool. But what I was going to say to Kurt is that, like, well, let me ask you guys this: like, if you, like you say, you fall off. So even if you fall off, if you do a dry fast,
Mm,
and if you go into it on all fruit, you do a dry fast, you feel pretty good. You feel decent. And even if you don't break it 100% perfectly, you're going to be getting benefits, right? No?
How fast
I mean, like if you keep doing that and then you just try to fine tune it as you go along and you can tolerate it, aren't you going to be, in the long run, aren't you going to be getting benefits?
how fasting is beneficial
Yeah.
if you're eating, minimal and clean. Um, that's what it is. But we have this lifestyle system to move out obstructions like no other, and there's no comparison when you experience this type of true detoxification versus what everybody else is doing out there. So the choice is how you want to do things is up to you. This is what we're doing. This is what we focus on. People
Yeah.
do whatever the hell they want. It's not our business. We've been
Yeah,
down
but
those.
it's just another way of
If you go right out and eat obstructively right after the dry, that's actually detrimental, very detrimental.
Yeah, it's very hard on the system.
It's
Very
No,
almost
I don't question the protocol at all. Like I realized like there wasn't one part of the protocol where I was like, oh, that seems off, or I noticed there was like a correlation between challenges and maybe not following it to a T. But I would say like one thing I noticed is I had some of my most powerful experiences on the dry and positive, but I also had like times around family where I was so much more sensitive, and it was a lot more difficult to like I became nasty and like got overwhelmed emotionally. And the way I describe it is like my filter between me and everything external was dissolving, and it's like how do I go, not only no yeah,
It's easier to numb yourself out and be with them, right?
it is, but it's like, okay, I got to work a job. I can't just sit on disability the next 30 years.
That's the difference in the fields, Kurt.
Yeah.
So,
Right. But it's like, okay, I'm not in the financial place to go move to a tropical island. And I can't, you see what I'm saying? It's like, I have to move forward in life and learn to develop and work.
Don't run away from the problems.
one step at a time, keep building the field strength where you're going to one day be in a family setting and it's not going to bother you one bit. You're going to be feeding them through the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's just you have to put in the work.
I mean, I remember Steve, or as you're talking, I mean, I have gone through lots of emotions, especially with the family. But I remember Steve saying at work, I think, in the past, going to work dry fasting, and you had like an emotional time,
Oh yeah, I remember that day.
Yeah, so that's not easy, and that's because, of course, because we're fasting, but that doesn't mean not fasting is the way to go. We know, we know that we just have to go through the
That's
stage.
raw. You get everything gets raw.
Yeah, and hope that these people around you, whether it's your people you work with or your family, that they are understanding that you are growing, you are changing, and it's okay. You love each other. Don't worry about it. Be a good person and always apologize if you do mistakes and be thankful. It's normal. It's normal. Don't let it destroy your relationship with them. It's not worth it.
How's Ben doing, Kurt?
I was just saying that he's still living the lifestyle, and he's been with my mom the past, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, a lot since the lockdown. she's got more time. So, but he's gone. Remember how he was struggling with his dries with her?
Yeah.
Now he's doing like up to 18 hours a day with her, and she supports it. So that's good.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm glad that the one thing is my mom, she's on the fence with a lot of this, but for the most part, she supports it. And, you know, she has her own programs and she admits that, and she kind of wavers, but at the end of the day, she knows Ben's alive, you know, like he was a year and a half ago, he was looking at jumping the fence. So
Wow.
yeah, my mom, like, it's great because she, you know, she started a vegetarian diet 3 years ago, and she does just liquids pretty much every day of the week till dinner. So it's nice to have a family member who kind of gets, like, I always say that, I'm like, you think I'm crazy for some of this stuff, which is fair, but I'm sure you wouldn't disagree that you feel better. Like, she goes to work and cleans houses just on juice, fresh pressed juice, and she does some Welch's and every day, and she admits it, and she's like, yeah. So, you know, she gets it, but once again, she's got those embedded programs that come up, and as we all do. But yeah, Ben, he's doing good. He needs some colon flushing because I think he hasn't been getting that over there. And I can tell, I think he's doing the dries, and I give him herbs when he comes by for a visit to keep that going. And, you know, he does the pudding and the broth and chicken and that. But he needs colon washing because I can just tell he's really tired during the day. And I think that's because his GI tract's full.
Yeah, especially he's up there in age. You know, he needs extra support. But,
The food is okay that he's eating, not very obstructive.
Yeah, like, so what I do is it's like it's the hybrid meal that
Keeping.
What's her name?
Michelle
wrote. Yeah. So what I do is I'll take the chicken frames and then I boil them, and it's kind of a little nasty to talk about, but you boil those and then you take out the bones and blend that. You blend it up with the pudding, and he eats that once a day, which, in all honesty, is great because it was a year ago he was eating 3-4 meals that night. That was he binged out. He didn't eat all day, but from 4 or 5 he would have 3 meals at night. So he's doing pretty good.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
There's a question here from Dance. How do you explain the spasm and pain in the stomach and intestines when you don't eat?
Do they exist when you don't eat? They usually happen when we eat.
No, that does.
Maybe at the beginning of a fast.
Yeah. Are you master fasting, Dance, or what do you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to explain. So the question is, am I master fasting? I'm taking all the elements of master fasting that I have access to. The one important thing I don't have access to is the herbal tinctures. So I can't say I'm master fasting, but I'm doing everything else.
Yeah.
Having said that, I just experience so much discomfort and pain when I am drinking just the juice and the plasma and the kidney tea, and also when I do my dries. I just feel really hungry, and I experience it. It's not psychological. I experience it inside my stomach. Yeah.
So are you doing everything except for
tinctures? Yeah, we never ever support anybody doing a juice fast, and that's basically what you're doing, especially with cooked juice. The cooked juice is such a powerful stripper that the body is not capable of removing, and has maybe not capable, but has a very challenging time removing obstructions that are not natural in today's human body. You know, it was difficult when Arnold Laird was teaching it 100 years ago. Today, it's at a whole different level. And that's why we have a whole protocol. What you're experiencing is obstructions the body's trying to move out, and you're getting cramps and pains and so on and so forth. The body's unable to move this stuff out. It doesn't have the energy to move it out. It's too obstructed. And this is why we master fast. We don't support juice fasting in general, or in what we say is anybody who juice fasts with cooked juice is going down the road of ludicrousy, because the information is presented here on what to do and how to do it, and it's very prudent. And
Yeah,
I don't think she
understand
can
that. I understand that because I have heard it before. What I'm saying is that I don't have access to the tinctures, but I have experienced positive things from what I'm doing. And I've also said that I'm not calling it the master fast. I know it's not the master fast, but I have experienced positive things. I'm just saying that obviously there's going to be good stuff and bad stuff. I just have very uncomfortable spasms in the stomach, and it feels like hunger.
Yeah, hunger is it doesn't exist in my book, but anyway, what happens is when the more obstructions we have in the GI tract, the more we're going to feel that hunger. That's where hunger comes from. Hunger comes through the act of eating physical foods. And when we stop eating physical foods, if the GI tract is not free of all these obstructions, you're going to feel all these experiences of hunger, spasms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why we are so adamant about washing the colon every single day, except the dry days, of course.
Of course. And I do that. And I do the kidney teas and the plasma pudding. You don't really... I'm not being like a Debbie Downer and saying that the master fast thing is not working, it's not great. Like I said before, I've experienced some positive things. I just know that it's not psychological. I do experience, quote unquote, for want of a better description, hunger pains, and I just wanted to figure out what that is. Like, what is that feeling?
How many days have you done?
Well, I just do the dry, and then I do 2 days of the other things apart from the tinctures.
Level 3.
Yeah.
Every week? For how many?
Yeah. It's been 2 months, maybe 2 months.
What do you eat when you eat?
Fruit.
Just fruit, nothing else?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been eating just fruit? How many years?
On and off for about maybe 4 years, on and off. So when I say on and off, it'll be like I'll do 3 weeks stint, and then I'll just be eating like vegan food that isn't exactly the most great thing, but it's just still vegan.
And your age, and prior to that, what was your lifestyle? Like, we don't know anything about you, so there's lots of things that have influence on what's happening now, and decades of eating whatever, and emotions and ancestors and genetics and so on and so forth. There's a lot to play there, and this is why we are here living and loving a master fast lifestyle, because everything that we have in the protocol is there for a reason. And if you're going to leave things out, you're on your own. We don't support it. I'm sorry, but I've been down those roads, and I don't want to deal with that anymore, because I've seen too many people getting themselves in trouble, and everybody has a choice and free will to do as they please. But we're master fasters. We have a protocol. You want to do master fast? We support you 100%, man. We're always here. We're here every single week. We've been here for 5 years, every single week. We're on the page every single day. We're on the Facebook every week. We support people that want to live a master fast lifestyle. If people want to do something else, there's gazillion million pages out there.
I think we're kind of just getting each other misunderstood. So
you're trying to,
what I'm experiencing isn't.
It's obstructions, and I'm telling you, if live a master fasting lifestyle, you want to try and find out what's the problem, but you're not listening. It's obstructions. And we have a support system to deal with all that. It's that simple. So
you're saying that if you take the tinctures, then you wouldn't experience hunger pains when you're on the dry fast.
No. But what I'm saying is the tinctures open up channels and help the situation, energy to move much better. Ask gazillion people who have tried to do it without tinctures, then they went with the tinctures. Don't do it without tinctures. They're there for a reason.
Hey, Dance, could you get those ordered in the mail? The tinctures?
No, I've just been told from past couple of Zooms that they're not delivering to the UK.
No, we can't. We can't ship.
Yeah, so that's why I said before that as soon as they can deliver to the UK, then I'll take them.
You're only doing it, 2-3 days a week. Not only it's what was your diet all the years in your upbringing?
Traditional Nigerian food. So pounded yams, agushi soup, beans, meat, fish.
Yeah, okay.
All the different type of stuff.
Like most of us.
Yeah.
These things, to get all that stuff, the body's made up of all that stuff. So to move that stuff out, it's quite a task. That's why we say 9 years is a good start.
Mm.
And, when you decide to live a lifestyle that's de-obstructive versus obstructive, you're going to go through many, 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 many changes, many experiences, many kinds of emotional roller coaster rides, and so on and so forth. And we use the tools to help us pull through these situations. When you're going through all these spasms and so on and so forth, how many meals you're eating when you're eating, and so on and so forth. There's many, many aspects that we don't know. And it's always goes back to obstructions, always.
Do you know what though, that the spasms that I'm talking about isn't necessarily something that would only happen when I'm like fasting. It also happens when I was just eating vegan food, normal food to me. And then I would stop eating because maybe I forgot or something, and then I would feel like hunger pains, and it reminded me to eat. And that's what my original question was like, how do you explain the physical side of hunger pains? What is that? That's what my original question was.
Eating will bring you down the path of hunger. The more you eat, the hungrier you get. That's as simple as I can put it. The more you eat, the hungrier you will get. If you've been on the page reading things, we say a lot. Only the body can feed, hydrate, build, purge, balance, and heal itself through soul from source. If you understand that sentence, it's got a lot of information in there.
Yeah, I get it. I understand.
Body, not something you eat. It's the body that feeds you and nourishes you. The nourishment is what we need, not the physical eating. If we're not being nourished emotionally, first and foremost, we're going to go through all kinds of physical things, and we're going to be driven to eat to oblivion or whatever. And that's where we get hungry. When you, I remember, going out to bar hopping when we were young. And then after bar hopping, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, we go eat.
Yeah.
At those hours. I get up in the morning and I would be hungrier. And we would talk about, I remember talking about this with friends and so on and so forth. How come you get hungry, man? We just freaking ate a few hours ago. Now, many, many, many years later, the revelation comes. The eating is what brings the hunger. It's what it does. Or when you're in a very stressful, emotionally drained situation, you get driven to be hungry because when you're in those situations, you're not being nourished, and that's why those situations come up and surface. So the more we're able to nourish our emotions, the more these things in the physical will will be experiencing them less and less and less as we're continuously working on removing these obstructions and changing what we've been built on, from being built through obstructions versus being built through the fields. It's two completely different things. So that's why we have the system to support every aspect as best we possibly can and understand at this time in our lives to do and focus on removing all these obstructions. These things, most everyone's experienced stuff like this. Some people more than others. The biggest challenges we found when people were doing a lot of the full MFS, like the level 7s, for long periods of time, we found most people would be relieved after the first couple of weeks of these things, because they're continuously working on draining the swamp. And after those couple of weeks, they'd be relieved to some degree until the next wave hits, where the really deep stuff starts coming out, and that would continue over and over and over, these cycles for 108 days for people. But from all the thousands of people that have been through this, we've seen that there's a window between on full MFS 7 days, which we don't recommend now anymore for many reasons afterwards. But the window between 60 to 90 days, 95 to 98% of people were rid of all their pains they've had, no matter how many years they've been alive. They got rid of all their pains, all their physical aspect pains, no more, gone. That's how long it took for people in a full MFS fasting state. So there's a lot of work. When we're, now that we're saying, focus on living and loving the lifestyle. So when you don't have to be stressing yourself so much, doing a long MFS and not having any clue what's going to happen coming after, and then shocking the body with obstructive foods and getting yourself in trouble. Why go through that when we can, practice like an athlete trains themselves every week? They're doing so much training to, get themselves ready for whatever event they're going to do. It's the same thing with this. This is a journey, a lifetime journey. So we work at it every single week, and it's going to take a little bit longer, but we're able to sustain ourselves in a much better frame of mind. And, we're going to go through a certain healing reaction, so on and so forth, for whatever period it takes. It takes as long as it takes, as I keep saying. For everybody, it's going to be different. Some people get over it quicker than others, but that's what it's all about. So for now, the time being, just work on eating as clean as you possibly can, and doing extra washing of the colon. That's all you can do.
I've been improving doing that, because at first it was just really.
Are you doing enemas?
It was difficult doing enemas.
You're having a difficult doing enemas?
Yeah, at first, but now it's gotten a lot more easier, because I have a routine, and I have a system of how I can do it, and the things that I have been doing, everything else apart from the level 3, everything else apart from the tinctures, I've actually seen positives, and I've felt good. Obviously, it was just certain points where I did have those uncomfortable pains in the stomach, because I felt hungry. But aside from that, I've actually gotten things that I have healed, and I'm excited to know that when I am able to get the tinctures, it can only be better if I'm getting positive results just doing everything else apart from the tinctures.
Yeah, when you start de-obstructing, when you start draining, you're gonna move in a direction of correcting things. The only thing that is challenging sometimes is when we have certain obstructions that are unable to move out because there's blockages, energy blockages in the physical, mental, and emotional bodies. And this is where we have to be prudent and use as many possible tools as we can to assist ourselves to help dislodge and move out the obstructions that are causing these reactions. So, you know, just eat, you know, cleaner and lighter as possibly can.
When do you think you'll be able to send the tinctures to the UK? When do you think likely?
Ask our government. It's not up to us. We're in lockdown. It's slowly starting to open up. Some stores opened up today. Today. So this week was the first phase, and then they have a second phase, third, fourth. I think of 5 phases. I don't know which level before we can ship, but hopefully it'll be soon, because you know, it's just like anybody else. We can't do what we're supposed to be doing.
I want to continue doing, well, I want to start doing level 3 like properly, but
slow down with green juices.
What, sorry?
Slow down with green juices. Another thing I want to ask you, when you do get these hunger pains, and you leave it alone, have you noticed they go away?
Yeah. I mean, the dry fasting hasn't been too horrendous. It hasn't been that bad. The only time that it was really, really gnarly, really awful, was when I did it in the full moon. Did it on the full moon a couple of days ago, and I was just really tired. But I mean, the hunger pains aren't there all the time. They do eventually go away.
Yeah. So, if it was true hunger, it can't go away. It wouldn't be able to go away. This is what I'm trying to say. So, you know, eating brings
for you know, Professor Arrett.
You just lagged. You're good.
Sorry, my internet's a little shoddy. I was just saying that, like, Professor Arrett, he always just says, you know, generally speaking, it's going to be discomforting. You're going to go through periods of discomfort. So it's kind of like you just have to acquiesce to that fact. It's going to always be one thing or another. That's kind of a drag, you know?
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, it's not exactly supposed to be all bubblegum and roses. I understand it's going to be like an up and down journey, and I welcome that. It's just early in the Zoom, we were talking about there's no such thing as hunger, and then I had the question of, like, how do you explain the feeling you get in your stomach when you haven't eaten in a while? I mean, what is that?
Well, what I think, the 3 things you were asking is, could it be the herbs? And, well, if you don't have the herbs, you don't know until you have it, but it's either you're not moving something out probably from the herbs, or you're in a fasting state. So whatever's being dumped into the GI tract maybe could be creating cravings if you're not eliminating it, right? Old food memories and stuff. So if you're fasting and that dumps and it's not moving out, then you can get cravings from that.
Plus, it can just be scar tissue, like your internal organs are compromised, and when you stop eating, you realize it, and you notice things that you might not notice if you're just, you know, constantly eating. You know, so something's exposed, and then you're like, okay, that hurts, you know.
Pain is the road.
I don't know. It's not really that big or mega the way you guys are explaining it. It's just, it's not like I'm in crippling over in agonizing pain. It's just, to me, it's just a simple, normal hunger pain that any Tom, Dick and Harry gets. That's what I was explaining. It's not something where I feel like I need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, you wrote down spasm and pain.
yeah, spasm and pain. It's not something that is like mega serious. Like I feel like I need to go to the hospital. I'm just, it's a discomfort. I was explaining the discomfort.
Any kind of pain you experience, first line of defense we have is enema and breath work.
Yep.
Always, no matter what, physical, mental, emotional. Enema. Go give yourself an enema. You know, we're recommending 6 liters minimum a day. If you do colema, even better. If you do colonic, even better. So lots of washing.
And what about abdominal exercises? Like when my stomach hurts for whatever reason, I do some sit-ups and like.
No, I'm all right for that, thanks. I can't do any more exercise. I've been doing exercises to make sure that I'm not stationary. I can't do any more exercises.
Does hunger pain mean you're like you feel hungry? Am I misunderstood? Is that what a hunger pain is?
When you feel hungry, just the sensation of feeling hungry. Do you know what? Can we just move this on to something a bit more positive? Because I feel like this is just a bit of a.
Well, you asked the question
right
so.
now. But no, I know I asked the question. I'm just saying let's move it to something more positive about what happened to me. And I had the most horrible feeling, and it ended up being like worms came out when I did an enema, and I was really thankful and happy that came out of me. So I thought that was a bit of a success and a positive thing.
You had a worm come out?
Yeah, when I did an enema.
Yeah, well, you know, when the terrain is, the environment is conducive for those things to be there, they will be there. And so as we start changing the terrain, things will start moving out. And, you know, also those could be also part of the pain. You know, spasms and so on and so forth, could be parasites and so on and so forth. When you're not,
maybe.
When you're not feeding them, oh yeah, they get hungry and they start gnawing into our internals and so on and so forth. So that could be part of it, but it all doesn't matter. You know, we use the tools to get us through the difficult times, and these will all pass.
Yeah, I wouldn't do the master fast without tinctures. I would be eating. We suggest that people eat if they don't have tinctures.
Do green juices.
Even that is too much. I would say
green juices have no power.
Like, I mean, yeah, just green juice without the master fast. Totally fine. But I wouldn't do master fast without the tinctures. It's too powerful. I would do at least a meal at the end of the day, maybe fruits if you don't have the tinctures. Until you have them, it's a lot of discipline, you know, this lifestyle. So start, you know, teaching yourself now. Start the discipline now before you have the tinctures in the future. For now, just do what you can, and what we support based on our experiences is you want to have the tinctures.
So when you say, Rana, do what you can, what are you saying? You saying I should
include?
How are you saying that I should eat?
Include a meal at the end of the day, at least. I would eat. I wouldn't just fast, master fast. Or you can do a completely different fast, like green juices are easier. But I wouldn't do the master fast without.
But do you recommend me still having the kidney tea, doing the enema and the plasma pudding?
You can do whatever you want. All that stuff. But include some food at the end of the day, so it's not too strong.
Well, you can have a day of just liquid green juice, a day or two, you know, no big deal. Green juices, they got no power. They just cool things down, soothe.
Yeah.
And you know,
it's a lifestyle as well. I mean, have you decided what lifestyle you want to do? Like what level?
Level 3.
Okay. Are you doing it now, or what are you doing now?
Yeah,
I'm not doing a master fast now because I don't have the tinctures.
So I mean 3 days a week, right? Okay. Yeah. So the other days you're eating?
Fruit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fruit, yeah.
And then I do a dry fast, and on either side of the dry fast, I have the kidney tea, plasma pudding, and the grape juice with lemon.
And you're doing 2 days liquid, 1 day dry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
But I've actually experienced positive things with that. It's just the only thing, which, well, not the only thing, the most important thing is not having the tinctures. But now I've just got into this rhythm doing it. And even though I've had some discomforts, I've gotten some really good positive results in doing that.
Yeah, but you have pains and this and that. I mean, we cannot support people with things that we
Yeah, okay, so maybe I shouldn't have used the word pain, but what I'm talking about is just experience of the feeling of being hungry, but it's not a crippling, horrible pain. It's not something that alarms me. It's just a momentary spasm or like a discomfort. It's not major.
It happens.
I feel like there's more positive things that I've experienced than uncomfortable things.
Like Gino said, you know, add some green juice to slow things down, and more washing. You know, that's we suggest when people follow the master fast and have some, you know, whatever digestive obstructions. We say just wash more. Or how many liters are you using for washing?
4.
We suggest at least 6 in the protocol. So you want to wash more, definitely, especially you're not taking tinctures. And I would add the green juice at least. I wouldn't do 2 days without the tinctures. Do it properly. I know you can't buy them now. It's okay. Add the green juice, and or do that. Yeah, do maybe a meal if you want at the end of the day, or just add the green juice for now, just to help you out a little. But increase the enemas. If you're having trouble, especially increase them more than 6, but at least 6. Anything else?
No, I appreciate your advice.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I do. I was
drinking enough liquid too, right?
Oh yeah. Are you drinking enough?
Close to 2 liters.
At least, yeah. 2 to 3.
Yeah, like I said, there's lots of positive things I've experienced. So
it's great. How many weeks is this? Your first week?
6.
6 weeks.
6 week. Well, no. Yeah. I think sorry, 7 weeks, close to 2 months. Yeah. It's very emotional, the whole thing, but I know why I'm doing it, so I know that it's a powerful system. So yeah. Well, hopefully I will get the tinctures when it happens, and I can be able to do it properly.
We'll see when our slave masters allow us to ship again. Her business is becoming more and more challenging every year. So, you know, one day they may not be available. We'll have to do our own wild harvesting if they allow us to do that. You know, maybe they won't allow us to do that either.
Yeah, well, let's
all
manifest.
All the parks are being fenced off here. And the beaches and stuff is just like ludicrous. So
hopefully things will change.
Hey, Gino. Do you? I mean, I don't know anything about how you guys source your herbs, and like, who do you make all the herbs, or do you have other companies making the tinctures, or I mean, like, do you farm out the work, or do you guys make all the? Because like, if you have thousands of people, where does it all come from? I have no clue.
magic.
The herbs are from all over the world because there's herbs that don't grow in Canada. There's
Yeah, I
herbs-
know, but I mean, like, you guys get the herbs, and then who makes the stuff?
friend of
Do you
mine.
guys make it? I mean, you don't have to. I don't know. I don't know if I'm even supposed to ask you, or like, I mean, like, how do you make all that stuff for so many people? It's you and your wife, you know?
Not so
How
many
do you
people. There are only a few people master fasting at any given time.
really?
Yeah, this
So
lifestyle.
you're not like cranking out like
No,
hundreds of orders all the time.
no,
So
no.
you make that stuff. You source the herbs and then you make it,
Yeah,
right?
tinctures. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's,
That's
there's,
cool.
yeah, it's you know, before um, looking around for sources of tinctures, what we found on the market was a bunch of very diluted stuff, and
Yeah.
for very, very pricey. So uh, then I went to speak to my friend to see what we can do, and we wanted to make something that nobody else had, and best that anybody you can possibly make with making a tincture, and we've achieved it. There's nothing I've seen that even comes even close to what MFS herbs are on the market, and it takes time to make these things. It takes time. Um, uh, so, we do what we can to support it, but what's happening now? People are price gouging. It's starting even the herbs business now. And all I can say is this send Plath, because we're living in Toronto, and labor here is high compared to a lot of places around the world, and our dollar has fallen to very poor against the U.S. because everything you purchase is in U.S. So it's getting tougher and tougher to be in this business, and to maintain it. It's
So
not simple.
so you said that like at any given time, you essentially you only have like say in a good month or whatever, you have like 10 or 20 people on the master fast.
Uh,
Like
maybe
who are
plus or minus, whatever. Who are
Yeah.
actually active. I know some people who've ordered herbs 2-3 years ago and say, "Are they still good?" They have never used them. They're still sealed. So,
Yeah.
how do you if they're not joining us? We don't know who's doing MFS. There's people doing MFS or bastardizing MFS out there that we don't know about all the time. I get
Yeah.
emails. I can't be on Facebook, but I'm following. Thank you for your information. Blah blah, stuff like that. So
Yeah. So like this platform that we're doing right now, I mean, do you like is this more for getting information out and like hoping that people are just gonna like this has more to do with supporting the people who are in Masterfast trying to struggle through it, right?
MasterFast system is to have a place where people can dive deep within the abyss of their own soul and move into the air of peace, balance, and correct conduct.
But I mean the Zoom in particular, aside from the protocol, the Zoom is like you guys are doing this Zoom to help people, encourage people to stay on the program, right?
We're a support system for
Yeah.
balance and correct conduct.
So you're not like putting this out on YouTube just to like be another player out there who's like
There's no ads.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like it just seems like you're here more for this group right here, right?
Where's willing to show up?
We're support. We support here.
Yeah.
We support in the Facebook group, and we support anybody who wants private consultation. That's
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just curious. I wasn't sure. what the intention was. I mean, I know it's great. It's really cool. It's just I wasn't exactly sure.
Yeah, it's
The-
interacting
the-
with like-minded people and supporting each other. You know.
The intent from day one is to move humanity into peace, balance, correct conduct. And it's only going to be the few of the few of the few that are going to move in that direction. Just like anytime you look in history, anytime there was a change, it was the few of the few of the few. It wasn't the masses. So
Yeah.
who wants to step up to the plate and live in the higher order of peace, balance, correct conduct? We're here.
Well, it's like in the United States, like you have Native American shamans, you know, you have these people and they're saying, you know, what we're going through now, not just COVID, but just Western civilization and the insanity of it. It's like this is just like a little flea to like flick off eventually, like because this isn't going to last. And like there's a really encouraging, I think he's Navajo, you know, he's just like, this is not going to last. Like this can't last. It's like, don't worry about it, basically, is what he's saying, you know? So it kind of reminds me of that.
Well, the powers that want to be are grasping at their last straws because so many people are waking up around the world like never before. Even though it's very small, it's more than ever. And the internet, what are they doing? They're censoring everything. What? Why? What are they scared of?
Yeah, it's
the
like
funny
it's
thing.
like,
Yeah, it's all backfiring.
it's like the shamans in the Amazon. They don't even think that humanity has to wake up. They have a very interesting way of looking at it. They think that they, with their very small number of powerful shamanic individuals, are going to make the change. So like when you say, so it's kind of interesting from where you're coming from. You're saying that like if we send out GANs or whatever, you know, whatever this word that you're putting on your
Plasma love
intention.
always flowing. Focus on that. That's it.
Yeah, it's like it's your intention. You're using the word GANs. Some people don't know what that means, but other people, shamans, might be calling it something else. But whatever it is, it's like a very small number of people, like John Lennon might have had something to do with it, right? And like, you know, it's kind of cool. Like I just see these parallels, you know, it's a very small group that you guys have, but it's like, it makes me think of how Native Americans think. You know, it's just like it's like that they're going to be the catalyst for
We are.
you know, change in the world.
We are. You are.
Well, I know, but I
you want
mean,
to see.
I know, but it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
It's that
think it's cool. That's all I'm saying.
144,000 concept.
Huh?
The 144,000 concept, that it's like a certain number can change
Right.
everything.
Yeah. Critical mass.
But I got to ask, can anybody here comprehend what's going on? Because I can't. I try to every day. I'm like, I can't literally, every time I'm standing in a grocery store line, anytime I see like anything going on with this, I'm like, how is this happening? Like, I don't know. I can't comprehend it. Like, I know it's happening, but I can't believe it's happening.
It just shows you how far we've fallen, actually. If you really want to, you know, how far we've fallen from what we're supposed to be.
It's sad too how gullible people are in their inability to think for themselves. It's like I almost felt like making a t-shirt like, would COVID-19 pandemic exist without a television? You know, it's crazy how a media and you know, a few government officials can manipulate 7-8 billion people. It's crazy.
Well, not government, it's the bloodlines. You gotta look at the bloodlines. Forget about the puppets.
Yeah.
Go back to the bloodlines. They go back thousands of years. But these guys are masters at manipulating and programming the masses. And if you see what they've accomplished, they're masters. They're masters at what they're doing, even though they're diabolic. in the way they're
It's
doing
crazy because they're probably manipulating these people, like Ike says, these people are pawns in a game they don't know they're playing. It's almost like the people who are pushing this maybe don't even know they are, but the people at the source do, you know, at the.
It's been in play for thousands of years.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like you were saying, Rana, is people are like, I don't want it to go back to what it was because it was worse then because more people were asleep and
Can't go back.
yeah, like I'm kind of like, no, please don't go back. We could only move forward.
Yeah.
You know, they're all talking about the new norm. You know what the new norm, what I see? That all these guys, all the scum is coming to the surface. They're revealing themselves more than ever.
Light of day.
It's
Yeah.
right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
More than
Yeah,
ever.
but Americans, I won't speak for Canada, but like Americans are just kind of scum now too. Everybody's like that. It's like we deserve it. These people,
Who knows?
you know, these people who like we're calling puppet masters or whatever, we deserve it because we've been empowering them, not thinking, only thinking about like what we want, you know? And like, and so it's like eventually like we're empowering that stuff. If in fact it does exist, we're empowering it just by
We've
living
allowed it.
here, and you know.
We've
So
allowed
it's like,
We allowed it.
huh?
We allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
We're batteries.
It's like we deserve Trump. You know? No one's thinking.
You think it would be any better if the other one was in? You'd be in a whole world of shit right now. Way worse than what's happening. Trump's the last stand here in
Yeah.
this country. Trump is the last stand in this country. If he loses this next election, this country is fucking gone. Take that one to the bank, brother.
Did you see that video I posted that he took over the Fed Reserve?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but that's what
It is.
They're following what he wants. So
I had heard about the book 1984, and I wasn't much of into reading in the past. It'd be nice to read it now, but that being said, I saw a animation of the summary of the book, and I was just blown away by the comparisons to where we are today. And that's what everybody says, 1984, you know, they make the references.
read Animal Farm too. Go look up Animal Farm.
Yeah.
Did you see that post I made? Was it this week, I think, about writing things down? You know, these things came to be because these things were written down. The power of the pen.
Yeah.
And guess what? The more people read and focus on it, guess what happens in matter state? It starts being manifested.
Right. So it's
Power of the pen.
yeah.
So let's start, you know, I said, let's start writing, you know, peaceful, balanced, correct conduct, PLAF. That's what we want to see. Forget about focusing on their stuff. You don't want to be reading 1984. No.
Right.
You want to put more focus on it.
So yeah, I have had a hard time emotionally dealing with seeing people going down the road of releasing all of their rights, right? Just to I find it very hard to go out to the store. So I'm actually isolating myself because I just don't want to see it. It's very hard for me to deal with. It was already hard to go to the supermarket and see people eating, you know, buying and choosing what they do, and the waste and the plastic and the garbage and the dead animals, etc. Now it's total. Now it's, you know, you can't even be next to somebody, or they've got masks on, and there's stickers everywhere telling you which way to go, and
they're death staring you peripherally in line if you're 6 feet away. Oh
yeah. And you know, and I did go out the other day, and I took my kids with me. So I took 3 kids with me, and I was in a pretty positive mood, I have to say. And I just put a smile on my face, and I just danced around through the store. And we were even munching on blueberries while we were in the store. Was just saying hi to everybody, just going the extra mile, you know. So that was sort of a good way of dealing with it, but I have had a really hard time otherwise with every other store.
Yeah, but you know, it's like we're hitting rock bottom, you know.
Yep.
And that's I guess as low as we can get, and then we can change, you know. We have
Yeah,
to,
but hold on a second. Here's the thing. So how do we know that, you know, I mean, in the Spanish flu in World War I, you know, people were just dying, right? And then there were two cities. It was Philadelphia, and then there was another one. I think it was like somewhere in Ohio or in the Midwest or somewhere. And like in Philadelphia, they had this giant parade with 200,000 people, and they went against the mandates. It wasn't even a mandate. It was suggestion, the government, to not go to the parade. So they disregarded the suggestion, and 200,000 people showed up for a patriotic parade, you know, at the end of World War I. I believe that's the history of it. And then this other city actually went by the suggestion and did what the government suggested. And then there was a tiny fraction of deaths from the Spanish flu in that other city. And so like something was going down, right? So regardless of whether this was an intentional, you know, diabolical conspiracy to let out a virus which started killing people, it's like, how does anyone know, like that we're just trying to make an attempt to slow the thing down?
No, can you please put away your stuff?
I don't believe it's I mean, like, how bad is a virus? It's really not that bad. Any virus, in my opinion. Like, if there's, you know, I don't know. I mean, yes, it depends how it spreads and this and that. If somebody has a low immune system, they're afraid, stay home. But let the others go out. You know, let the others go out, and let the others.
Yeah, you see,
there are many countries. Well, okay, Sweden and I believe Japan didn't close their countries, right? And
yeah,
they didn't have a higher number of deaths, and they didn't hurt their economy, right? So it really, okay. First of all, with this virus, okay, the science behind it is nonsense. Okay.
is what?
It's nonsense. I mean, it's
caca.
It's nonsense. It's not true. The science behind it, it's not proven that this is a contagious virus.
But then what's happening? I mean, like, if you just look at what's happening, is the information.
It's a weapon. It's a weapon. Anything that you scientifically are able to look at a virus at, you can't apply it here. It's not a virus, it's a weapon.
Yeah, so this is, I think they wanted to make it much worse, but it's not really working the way they wanted it to work, so it's not killing so many people.
Not yet.
I think it's very strong, like maybe other viruses that have killed many people in the past. It's really, I mean, really, the numbers, first of all, the science behind it, to prove that it's a contagious virus is not there. Okay, they have.
If you look at all the people talking on this, nothing adds up. Not one thing. It's what makes sense to me is it's a completely fictitious virus. None of the numbers, you know, they're lying about the death counts. All these doctors are coming out. All these nurses are coming out. These aren't conspiracy nuts. They're average folks. It's like, yeah, nothing adds up.
And then the testing for it. I mean, a papaya tested positive for the virus. I mean, this does not make any sense. Okay. A papaya and a sheep, I think, tested positive. I don't
Motor
know.
oil.
Okay.
Wait,
yeah, it's just,
who tested positive?
So they sent.
Tanzania, Africa.
I think so.
Tanzania.
They sent samples. They had the COVID sample testing things, so they swiped it on inside of a papaya, motor oil, a sheep, or no, goat. What else? A few other things, and they put names and ages, fake it, and they sent it to the lab, and some of them tested positive.
So,
The
yeah.
papaya tested positive, the goat tested positive,
So the whole
and
thing
motor
is
oil tested positive. The guy's going, "What is this? This is crazy." So anyway, we're gonna go back. Well, how have you been living for the decades you've been alive? How you been living? What state is your terrain in? You know, what happened to all the deaths of cancer, heart disease, diabetes? What happened to all these deaths? Nobody's dying of these anymore. They're dying of COVID. Like
Yeah,
I
well,
say,
that's true. See,
what
when
I
you
say-
think of it that way.
what I
And
say-
John, if you look up the stats, there's no more people dying than there were before.
There's
Also, there's amazing Polly on YouTube, and she does extensive research into all the organizations who are all in bed together. It's a mafia working together, and it's the same
start right
people.
with Fauci.
Yeah.
Yep.
The WHO, the CDC, and all these global NGOs. So look up Amazing Polly on YouTube, and you'll.
Criminal organizations
Yes.
at the highest level.
Yep.
Oh man, I gotta get out of here then. If that's the case,
Where you gonna go?
if that's the case, I really gotta.
Where are you going?
Where you gonna go?
You got a spaceship? I'm coming with you.
It's
Cool.
exactly.
You gotta go within.
Well, yeah. Well, that's a good call. Go within. It's a really good time to learn how to go within. You know, it's a good call.
And be the change
Yeah.
you want to see, because you know what, we have not done a good job being the change we want to see. I always said, maybe a year ago I started saying this: am I doing enough to be the
None of
change
us
I
are.
want to see? No. So
None
I
of us are.
can't complain. I can't complain. I can't complain about the government.
No.
I haven't done my job. I'm not the best
We've-
person that I can be. I want to
We've
be humble.
allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
We are all
Yeah.
connected.
Mm.
We've allowed it, and we can change it. So you're not going to change anything by fighting. Fighting never resolves anything. Look at all the wars. What do they accomplish?
Or running away from where you are today and going to an island. You're taking your problems with you because you haven't changed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The wake-up call is within, and it's to really understand the power of the fields and keep that plasma love always flowing at the highest possible field strength, continuously flowing and focusing on especially all these what so-called leaders of the countries and so on and so forth. Put a lot of emphasis on them, even more so on the big pharmas and all the other diabolic big corporations that want to run the whole planet, and Billy and everybody else,
Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog.
There's yeah.
Which one? Oh,
But sometimes you can move your location, and you can be in a place where you're empowered to get more accomplished, because there's just it's just a better environment.
Yeah, the whole world's on lockdown too. But anyway, I want to say quickly, like I sit here and I think, like, 1 minute I'm thinking, oh, there's no hope, but it's like, as it gets darker, this is the brightest time too. I've been brought to tears by some of these truth speakers who are so courageous. They're putting their lives on the line.
Yeah.
And this London Real Group who's putting out these heavy hitting scientists right now. It's like, if we get through this and we survive, it's like those people to me are the people we're going to be talking about in a few hundred years, because it's amazing.
When I look at all the science stuff, it's all caca to me.
Yeah.
All of it. You hear the side that's full out criminality, and then you look at the other side that they're finding that all their stuff was put through because they want to make, be in control. It's you don't need to know any of that stuff. Dive into your soul. All that stuff is so confusing, man. It's wonderful to see all these whistleblowers come out that have been silenced. It's wonderful and amazing. But it's still going down the path of illusion, their sciences.
Yeah.
What are they going to
Totally.
do for you? Are they going to solve
Look at the power that woman in Florida had. I mean, in Texas.
Oh, the one who got arrested.
One who got arrested. Look at the power that she had. And what did she did? Nothing. All she did is
So what do we do?
She
Like, just
stood.
go within and hope?
She just stood. That's it. That's all she did.
Stood her
Stand.
ground.
Stand. Do what you
Oh,
will.
you're saying she did have power. Okay.
Yeah, look at the
they jailed
power.
her and
She
they-
had an incredible amount of power.
Did she
What
get
was
out?
that?
One sole woman.
What are you talking about, Steve?
That woman that defied the government. You don't know anything
The
about
hair salon
the
lady.
hair salon. She reopened her hair salon because she needed to feed her kids, and her employees needed to feed their kids. So they threw her in jail.
And then the governor said he was going to go in and serve 4.
The
Well,
governor was going to what?
He said he would serve her sentence or something, and it got all this
To
conversation
hear what
happening.
that judge said to her was just everything wrong in the world. And to hear
Yeah,
what she said
exactly.
back is what everything could be in the world.
That's a good point.
More people need to do this. Can you imagine? Everybody goes
No,
back
she
to doing
did
what they're doing.
stand
What are
and
they going to do?
she spoke her truth, period. She did
No,
nothing
but
more.
what if everybody goes back to work? What are they going to do? Shoot us all?
They can't. Too many.
Well, I just want to go to the park and play on the playground, and I've been trying to look for other moms to do that with me because I'm down. I'm ready to go. I've got signs made and everything, but I can't
Well,
find
they're still
anybody.
arresting people here for going to the park, so.
Yeah, right. I know. I was thinking I may end up on the news.
Well, if you do, just stand your ground.
We'll see, or get it on video. Most importantly.
Yeah, today they were showing the woman in Australia with her small child.
Yep.
They arrested her for protesting. Took the child away. What's going on here?
Wow.
Those cops, don't they have families?
That was horrible. Horrible.
This is crazy shit.
They will be held accountable
Oh yeah.
at some point.
Nuremberg trial, man. Oh, just taking orders. I'm sorry, but you knew that was wrong. You're paying the price.
Absolutely.
Don't take orders if you know it's wrong.
They don't answer for it here, they'll answer for it somewhere else,
Yeah.
preferably here.
Yeah, but it's the history of humanity. Soldiers take orders and they kill people.
That's
It's
why
what
this is our
Tolstoy
opportunity to put a stop to it. It's our
Tolstoy wrote
probably our
about it
last
at
opportunity.
length. You know, it's like people take orders.
And
Yeah.
there's people who defy orders for good reasons as well.
Mhm.
You know why these
Yeah, I
people
know.
take
It's just
orders?
that
Why do you believe they take orders?
why?
Yeah.
Because they don't know any better. They get young people to do the shooting, you know, and they give them cigarettes and alcohol. It's just what Tolstoy said.
Some of them have power trips. They're egos. You can see that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
some of them, they are in fear for their livelihood, right?
Mhm.
So they're going to do
Yeah.
whatever it takes to get their paychecks.
That and protect their pensions.
Yeah.
Why you have none of these scientists speaking out of
So
what's
what
really.
what do we talk about earlier? Peace, balance, and correct conduct. Are these people living in peace, balance, and correct conduct? Not in my opinion. Because if they had any inkling of that, they would completely outright refuse those orders.
Mhm.
Say, you go frickin' do it.
You saw that one cop, who was kind of advocating for them to the police to support the Constitution and people's
Yeah.
rights and not So, one thing I try to remind myself
Quite a-
is
quite a
there's
few
a
sheriffs.
God.
There's quite a few of the local sheriffs down here that are saying F you to this stuff. So they're not enforcing any of this stupidity.
Yeah. But as I was saying, if you fall into that victim role, remember I think there's a God, not to get too religious, but there's an intelligence, right? That's not gonna, it's like you said, if their time has come, it's like things gonna come up to the surface regardless of what happens, and there's sort of a track we're on, have faith in something greater than ourselves that'll bring things to the surface, right?
Yeah, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. You know, they're going to get theirs, but the thing is that we'd rather have them get it now, so that we, you know, like the Nuremberg trial, if that could happen, that would be great. But if you abstract it to the religious level and you say that vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, then, you know, we're just going to have to wait it out and see what's on the other side.
It's challenging for a lot of people right now. A lot of people. So,
But there's also been some really good things happening.
yeah.
People coming together and helping each other. I've definitely seen that. Because obviously there's been people who have been greatly affected by the lockdown, isolation, depression, not being able to feed their kids because they get free meals at school and the schools have been closed, and there's been social initiatives just to pick up the phone and speak to an old person or use their kitchen that's been closed down to make meals for people who are working on the front lines, or the NHS, or people who don't have that much money. So that's a good positive thing that's happened from this mess. People just opening their eyes a bit more and figuring out, how can I help my neighbor?
Yeah, there's a guy in Alberta who was feeding the homeless, which he's been doing for 20 years. They arrested him. No, they fined him. Sorry, they fined him. $880 for feeding the homeless.
Wow.
Which he's been doing for
And
20 years.
I wonder, are the hospitals and like the healthcare, are they busy? I don't know. I think they are.
Oh,
Like,
They're empty.
They are busy, but just not in every department. For example, some the physio departments and the cancer oncologist doctors, they're saying that they're not as busy as before. So yeah,
people in the emergencies are putting out all these YouTube videos, dancing and having so much fun while people are dying. I don't understand. It does not.
Crisis actors.
Unfortunately, in the UK, there are some hospitals that are of different levels. So there's some that are private and there's some that are well funded and others that aren't. So the burden isn't equally spread over. And also there's many different departments in hospitals. So there might be some that can actually be able to post videos and others that don't have the time to do that.
You know, the hospitals here, you know, they're usually always pretty full. It takes, if you ever go into emergency, you got to get checked in. It takes a while before you can get a bed and so on and so forth. One of my friends lives near one of the hospitals here. Says he's never seen it so dead. You know,
laying off. They're laying off down here. They've been laying off.
Yeah, there's like all the elective surgeries, they stop. So right away, you know, that's all that work is not happening, right?
Local, they're opening up the local one slowly now to elective. But
Did you guys?
They put up this trailer, so now before you enter the hospital for any of these things, you got to get tested.
Did you guys see the video of the nurse in New York City who was talking about people dying? Her name was Nicole Sirotek.
They're killing.
She's the one crying.
She was crying. She was wearing blue scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really devastating and confirmed my suspicions. But it was a very graphic depiction of what's going on there. And
she was talking about hospital malpractice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of the biggest killers. It's one of the biggest killers.
Yeah. Well, it's worse than that. It's genocide at this point.
Nobody's getting treated who has all the normal conditions, and then nobody has this fictitious condition, so they're empty. So yeah, it's beyond obvious.
Monetary, yeah.
And they've got guards, I think, at some of these places, so you can't even get in the hospitals to prove it.
What was her name?
Her name is Nicole Sirotek. I think there's a YouTube channel called End the Lockdown. end lockdown, and they have it on there. It was viral. I pray for her safety.
Plaf, send them Plaf.
Sorry, could you just spell it? Could you spell it real quick? Nicole what?
Siro, Sirotek.
Thank you.
Something like that. But you know, it's interesting how I feel very much that we're not supposed to be allowed to be together, because if we would be, we'd feel, you know, we'd obviously be fine, and then you couldn't manufacture a crisis if large groups of people all were doing okay, and so we're not supposed to see that. And that really does prevent people from having their common sense kick in.
Shows you how desperate they are.
It's been going on. This is just something coming to fruition. It's a big thing, obviously. But it's been going on for ages. My youngest was she went to a gymnastics class. So this was about a year ago. She was 3. And the teacher came out and in the first day and said, yeah, she's doing good. I said, great. And we're so glad she's having fun. I'm just so excited. My little 3-year-old's in a class. And the first thing she said to me was, yes, so we're going to teach them how to all get in line just in case there's an emergency. We have to have them do the 1, 2, 3, fall in line. And it was this crazy thing that I'm assuming happens in public schools. And this was a recreation center, a city-run recreation center. And it was all about crisis management and fear, and that my kid needs to know to fall in line. And I'm thinking, all I wanted her to do was come do some somersaults here, lady. But she, who had a flu shot bandage on herself a little short time later after that, but she was so programmed to program these kids. It still is in my head about how extreme this was, and how it programs the kids into the fear, and the parents too.
Focus on.
Are you talking about fire drill? Because most schools are supposed to be doing fire drills. From what I've experienced anyway.
Yeah, it's way beyond that now. I don't use public schools, but I do know they run all sorts of drills because of fake school shootings and
right, okay.
Yeah. And it's all fear and trauma that we're all supposed to live in and have been living in with programming. Somebody I had watched on a video an observation that all the Disney kids movies begin with the loss of a parent to induce trauma in children. And that was fascinating, because I thought, yeah, I was really scared in this movie or that movie as a kid.
Everybody say what's happening that's positive. Something.
I got a cool story.
Yeah, positive.
Hello, how are you? Can I share a bit?
Hi, Inga.
I have everyone. We just need, when you become connected with our inner-ness, we will realize more we be given our power to anything out there, more we be feeling them.
Yep.
We need to, when we connected, we'll realize we don't need to talk about that, because more we give power, more we sending out, and rather than stopping it, we created more.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. This is like, because it's like another personality in the dry fasting world. He said, I don't want to talk about chemtrails because there's nothing you can do about it. We don't know what it is. People have speculation about what's happening at 50,000 feet. We don't know what it is, so why should we talk about it?
Yeah.
I
If we want
Trying to do bury your head up your ass and forget about it?
No.
That's not the right way to go.
Yeah, it
because
to
because
have
on
No,
one
no, no,
on,
no.
on
We
one
know
Anything.
hand,
exactly what's in the skies too, so don't say that.
No,
There's
Steve,
paradox,
Where
right?
to look.
if we don't like something, we need to face it. When we face, we come free.
You've got two
Yeah, but
opposing forces. You got, this is just classic good and evil. It's a battle. It's been going
yeah,
on
but
since the
if
dawn
you're
of
saying,
man.
but you're saying on one hand to do it spiritually and going in,
But
and
you
create.
can't bury your head in the sand about it either.
You need to know, keep your friends close, keep your enemies close. You need to know what's going on, but you don't want to give it energy.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
But when you come connected, there is just that wisdom within, and you just know for yourself, you've been guided what to do.
yeah,
You know, to me came as well, I am pure presence, and we are not even human beings, what we have separated ourselves. In nature, we are being of nature. We not humans. We just have separated ourselves from that pure balance, what is in nature and what is an animal kingdom. We are beings of nature. When you come to pure balance, two things in the world we cannot buy, that is peace and happiness. And in oneness, that is balance. That is only purely within. And when we have access to that, there is just freedom.
yeah. But how much political? I mean, like, because how do you translate that to political power, though? Because I believe you. I believe exactly that you're coming from that place. But what do you do to create power if you want to stop something that's wrong in this world? It took huge countries and armies to defeat Hitler, right? Because there are enough people who wanted to. But like now, how do you do it? How do you do it now?
Right.
If you've achieved enlightenment in your life, that's a beautiful thing. But what do you do?
John, that is mind. You now being in mind. And more we be in mind, more we want to know. And more we want to know, more we push ourselves away from true essence of ourselves. We need to let anything we want to know, we need to let that go. And when we allow that free feel, why do we need to know? Because on this earth is nothing right or wrong. If you watch nature, there is purely is. Also in animal kingdom is very same. You see animals do deeply feel. They watch and they allow to free. They allow to feel, was that being eaten, was that play? And then when you allow fully feel through you, then you won't question anymore, because you will know your unique answers for yourself. We are unique. We are individuals. When you come connected with that, there is no answers anymore.
But okay, so then what do you do personally if you think that there's something evil going on, which there is? Then may I ask you, what do you do personally? Do you give your money to various organizations, or do you just meditate on it? Do you just come from the point of view of, do you come from the place of meditation and prayer, or do you do actual grassroots types of endeavors to to
John,
manifest what you're talking about?
I'm not sure do you know me or not from past.
No.
Right, okay. If you listen to Zooms in past, you will see where I'm sharing. To me came true where is when you come your pure essence, then you are that meditation. You are that God, or you are that universe. And anything goes out there in this physical world, I am responsible for everything you see in this physicality, because we have created this for some sort of level of journey or learning process, and to come free. Anything we don't like, we need to face it. Once we face, we allow that energy, what is within, move through us. And again, you come on that state where you don't, there is no questions, because when you are that essence, any question you have within, it just reveals to you.
So if they show up and they're going to do like a forced vaccine per se, that's the ultimate test, right? To sit and witness that and take responsibility. Because it's easy to, theorize these things in the comfort of our homes, but there's potentials for heavy stuff going on. And at the end of the day, the collective is going to shift through action. So there can be people meditating, and that's their role and their contribution. But there's going to, things are only going to shift on the collective scale if there is, some people standing up and taking action, right?
I'll share you what has happened, what has came to me. As you know, it's not easy for me to share because it's very small percentages ready. And now we have created this very powerful medication system. And when we witness now on the whole planet, people live whatever age they live, but there's a lot of number, like as we have called ourselves, humans, lives long lives, but they don't really live. They exist, majority. What happens then? They come takers rather than givers. Say, for example, government have to pay pensions. Government have to pay them bills for being so sick. As you know, there is lots and lots and lots. When they come elderly, they cannot give. And what happens then? Governments realize they are consumers, and what we need to do, somehow we need to clean them off. We need to wipe them off from the system to some sort of level, probably bring again human beings in balance, because in nature it's only purely in balance. If nature would not have day or night, there wouldn't be balance. If animals wouldn't eat animals, there wouldn't be balance. That's why we are here to experience our experiences, but we can put this in physicality as well. And as you see, creation works on day and night. Without that, to there could not be balance. And when we create in physicality, we create, say for example, good things, what we like, but we have repressed the other side that, say for example, night, which cannot exist without. And that other side, that night, what I would see, when comes up on the surface, we don't like face.
So are
Because
you saying we can't move beyond duality, basically, because it's just inherent in creation?
it's just oneness. We can, if we are open, because we have called ourselves human beings. But when you come in oneness, you just realize there is just balance. Because that negativity we see out there, it's magical balance. Negativity is, it's less, it's bringing, positivity is more we like, more we want. Negativity is less. Negativity we need to face. That's all it is. We have been for so long time repressed that negativity as bad. Negativity is only balance. Negativity shows you less, brings you back what you don't like to yourself.
Yeah. It's like the bird's eye view approach of it, and it's true, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, we're down here.
It's hard to face it. And when you want to really come through your own essence, you need to face yourself, nobody else.
Yeah, and that's what we have been saying, right?
Yes, Rana, I heard you.
It's the mirror of truth. And it is also a fine line. So it's not easy to, there's no simple way out of this, you know? There's a fine line. It's an art.
It's exactly. It's a process.
It's just like anything else, you know, fasting and finding a balance between fasting and eating is an art. And we have challenges and we have amazing times as well. But you have to find your balance, and it's okay. And sometimes you feel like giving up, but we always get up and continue. It's a fine line. It's an art, and we only learn it with time, without force. We only learn it with time, take our time, but we support each other to grow as individuals and together as well, you know.
We all play a role, right? And no one's right or wrong. And we can think we're right, but at the end of the day, it's like the yogi on the mountaintop is right. The protester in the street is right. We may not agree with it, but we all have a different approach, right?
Yeah, we have to support each other, you know. The intention is what matters, right? Where we want to have, you know, again, peace, balance, and correct conduct as the intention. Love, and just support each other, you know.
Yeah, when we see these the scums coming, you know, pouring out their caca, just elevate the souls. Just elevate their souls, because if we have anger, contempt, and all that stuff for them, it just gives them more power. So we elevate the soul. We don't do it through the physicality. We have to.
But you know what? You know what? It seems to me that in this platform there is anger and contempt towards it. So that's why I'm confused.
It's frustrating to see that, yes. But we don't have to, if we feel ourselves getting angry, what do? Go within, send them plaf. We got to continuously working on catching ourselves to move away from the anger. Because if we get angered, that's where they want us to be. Fear, anger, and all that other crap that disempowers us. We want to be in the state of plasma love always flowing, which is the highest field strength of creating. That's where we want to be, and we want to send them that. So we're working at the soul levels.
Yes.
The souls, the fields is what creates this. This, we have no power in that. That is where the power is to create this. So we work on that. That's what.
But
and
if,
you have to remember that no
What,
one.
what better place is there to release some of this anger? Right here,
yeah, that's true.
right here.
I'm not enlightened yet, just so you know.
Now what? Sorry.
I'm not enlightened yet.
But you know,
I mean, come on, you know, we're all on the same
There's
boat.
two types of people:
Yeah.
those who have anger and those who are in denial of their anger.
There you go.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like,
John.
no, I fully appreciate all of that. I really do. And but the thing is, the question is, if it's true that, you know, whatever your modality is for becoming unified and whole and enlightened, you know, it's like, shouldn't we not be going there? Like I'm just asking, I don't know like what you guys want to talk about, but like it always seems that we're talking about, you know, conspiracy. And if it's really true that becoming unified and becoming pure is going to be the best effect on what's going on in the world, not just with COVID and not just with this new level of conspiracy, but just with all of the conspiracies going all the way back, right? It's like, if it's really true that this is how to do it, by becoming enlightened or pure or unobstructed, or however you want to say it, like, shouldn't we not be going there? Like, but Steve made a good point. This is a great place to express anger and, you know, fears or whatever. But I'm just asking you, like,
I'll share a cool story that kind of ties into that. You know Ike, David Ike, the conspiracy dude?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know him, John?
David
Ike, have you heard of him?
I've heard of him.
Well, he's
Not-
kind of like infamous in a lot of people's realms. They either love him, they hate him, or I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard of him. It's like ICKE.
Yeah, so anyway, I watched one of his talks and a lot of people knock him for being a fearmonger or whatever.
Yeah.
And he spent, it was like 3 hours doing a talk, and the first like 3/4 plus was all about exposing what's going on. And the end of his talk was about following your heart, not your head, and doing the right thing. And he was talking about how 30 years ago, he was called out on this live television show, and something just told him to keep going, keep sharing the information, but he couldn't go out in public. His kids were getting humiliated, but he kept doing the right thing because in his heart, he felt that's what his truth was and what he was meant to do. So I listened to this whole call. It went into 5G. It went into, you know, the vaccines. It went into the numbers, just all about what people would call, you know, fear mongering. Do we need to go there? And he just said, you know what we need to do? Send Bill Gates or these people love.
Mhm.
And sorry, I'm just getting emotion. What I did is I picked up the phone after and I called my mom, and she was going to pick up my brother. And basically, we haven't told him where I live for the last 7-8 months because he's on drugs and we didn't want to deal with him. He's been homeless and didn't want him coming there. And I just heard David Ike and I just had this thought, what does my heart want me to do? I said, invite him over for dinner. Come on over. And that was just a beautiful takeaway from this conspiracy talk of a dude talking about heart. And I made this decision to invite my brother over for dinner. And I said, you know what? What's the worst case if he knows where I live? And honestly, I haven't really connected with my brother in 15 years. I've been in fear of him. I've shut down emotionally. I was just numb to it because it was so painful because he was just in the drug world. And I just said, you know what? What if I open my heart to him and let him be who he is and come share a meal? And it was amazing how David Ike, the conspiracy dude, like with some simple message at the end, completely opened to this portal. And my mom was like, is you sure that's a good idea? I said, you just listen to Ike, right? I said, are you listening to your head or your heart? And she's like, wow, and she showed up. And it's just funny how, that message he was. So what I'm getting at, that's just a personal experience for me, relevant to my experience, is it's like, I don't think we just stick our head in the sand, but I don't think, ultimately, yeah, it is that personal empowerment responsibility. But the catch is we live in a world too, where all these things are going on. And it's like, it's, yes, it's easy to say these things, but like, okay, they come with all these things going on. It's difficult to hold that space, and, I tend to think it's, we all are a part of that. We all have our ways of doing it, and none of us really know what the answer is.
Yeah.
It's like,
We do.
it's like, Inga, if that's your job to sit and be in personal empowerment, that's your truth. If Lisa is going to protest, that's her truth, right? It's if mine is to sit here and talk like I'm going to have an anxiety attack, that's my truth. It's it's
exactly. That's why there is no right or wrong. There is anyone shares, that is their own essence, that's their own beingness, and the best way is go back to your own essence. That's all you can be.
Well, I can say, let me just say one thing about the Mahayana Sutra and the Lotus Sutra. That's just where I'm coming from. But what it says there is that this is a different time. This is like the Dharma's in the last stage, right? This is according to Buddhism. So the Dharma's in the last stage. There were earlier stages when it was appropriate and worthwhile to go to the mountain and to meditate and to achieve Buddhism that way. And in the latter day of the law, which is the last stage of the Dharma, the way to achieve is actually to serve and to be engaged with humanity. So that's just coming from sutras that that's over 2,000 years old. But
have you heard of
it's
spiritual
kind of,
bypassing?
Sorry?
Spiritual bypassing is sort of tied into that, where it's easier to sit on the mountain than to come into the world and bring that knowledge and realization, in the face of darkness, right?
Well, yeah, it's like you like now this is scriptural, but now the scripture says that we should be in the trenches now. And even if whether we're enlightened or not, it's like the Dharma's in a very, very unstable position. So that's what it says, it's just codified religion, it's scripture. But it just comes to mind because I always think in terms of the Lotus Sutra. What does it say? And but that's why I was asking about what do you do if you become empowered in your own life? Then what do you do?
I think everyone
Who
has
knows?
a sense. I think everyone has a power that they can manifest in this weird capitalist world without even having to go and hold up placards and protest. And I think it's your wallet. Where do you spend your money?
Exactly.
It's something as simple as that.
You use your dollar in the correct way.
And that's how I try and do activism or protest or stand my ground, not engaging monetarily in really devious, dark companies and organizations. But also I am trying to take Inga's approach, even though it did sound very beautiful the way you expressed it, Inga, but also quite, for me, complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, each to their own. I'm not saying what you said was wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that for me, in my brain, I found it quite trippy and complicated, but I knew that there was truth in what you were saying. And like Kurt said, there's many different ways that you can engage in this world and try and do good to help people and yourselves, or try and turn the tide of craziness. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, I use my money. That's where I start
Yeah.
off.
Well, I didn't find Inga's point of view complicated. I think it's really beautiful, but my question is, then what? You know, it's like, but then you look at Tolstoy and you look at the Bible and absolute nonviolence. Gandhi, Tolstoy, the Quakers, they all said the same thing: absolute nonviolence. So in that regard, Inga's dead correct. You know, she's correct because you can't, you know, protesting causes a lot of, it's not violent, but what happens is it causes the feeling of violence, because
I've seen some really peaceful protests in my time.
yeah, I mean, it can happen, but in this day and age, it seems like it's getting harder to have a truly peaceful protest.
Because the police are agitating protesters,
Yeah.
and also there's inside shills and people who pretend to be part of the activist group, but who actually, would you call those law enforcement who pretend to be activists? They, what was that, Ryan?
Criminals.
They live a lie and they pretend to be an activist, but actually they're part of the police.
Okay, like
Yeah, that's
infiltrators. That's it.
Yeah.
There's people who are
Yeah.
infiltrators and shields and who make trouble in protests as well.
yeah. Well,
There's
yeah.
one
I mean, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, John, that like I'm not good at practicing this, but there's one teacher I've listened to, and he says we just because we're you know, in silence or in peace doesn't mean we don't take action.
Mhm.
So I think it's like, start with where Inga says, if you can find that peace and balance within yourself, doesn't mean you just sit in your lotus position. You carry that energy into the world. But if you're like me in this state now and you're taking action, what good is it, you know?
Well, no, but you know, I mean, just so you know, it's like I'm actually a fairly happy person. You know, I'm 58. I'm quite happy, but I get a little bummed, like hearing, you know, it's like all the conspiracy stuff. Like I certainly have a leaning towards it, and I agree. But the question is, how much do you entertain it? Do you entertain it and engage in it? And if you can't do anything, or if you're not politically empowered, then what
It's
what do you do?
counterproductive. Yeah,
It's counterproductive.
true.
You know,
You can just sit here and do nothing and just focus on the problem.
it's like, you know, because I'm somebody who wants the world to change, and I want a better world, but you know, sometimes it's hard to know how to proceed. Like, how do you proceed? You know?
Be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
It means
Conduct your life in peace, balance, and correct conduct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So peace, balance, and correct conduct. Okay, but you know,
Start off with yourself.
we're like 7 people here. We're trying to change the world. You know,
We're not. We're trying to change ourselves.
it's like
What else are we gonna do?
There's nothing else to do.
We don't have that power. We can only change
There's
ourselves.
nothing. All you can do is like go to the grocery store
on,
and
man,
like
we're on
and change
lockdown.
the world.
Gandhi was one person. What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Change the whole
man.
freaking world.
He took on the whole, you know, government agencies.
The Raj. He took on
What do
the
we do,
Raj.
John? I don't know.
But
I
anyway,
don't know.
We have to start off with ourselves. That's the only thing that I can do, because so many of my, well, not many of my friends, but a few select friends are sending me videos of all these different theories about COVID and stuff, and now I kind of like tune it out because it's just too confusing, and I feel that it's distracting me from looking within myself and trying to figure out how can I improve and be good to my heart, mind, and soul. And one of those things is not wallowing in negativity, but recognizing negativity does happen and figuring out how I can be a good person for myself and people around me. Just start off in small steps.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, and also know where you're spending your money, such as don't give money to Amazon. So many people I know are spending money on Amazon. They're laughing. They're so happy with this whole lockdown thing. It's ridiculous.
But I was going to buy an enema bag on Amazon. So what do I do now?
To enema or not to enema?
Well,
to enema or
do,
not to enema?
You can do it in other places, but my point is that you just have to know where you're spending your money, and that's one small simple step.
Yeah, I fully agree. I hate Amazon, man.
Don't give power to them. Negative.
I won't. I dislike them very much.
I'm just kidding.
No, man. So Gino, sorry, one more time, if I could just ask you, just the straight logistics. If I buy the Divine 9 from you, then that'll take like 2 weeks to get to California, essentially.
Take what it'll take.
I can't give you a time frame now. There's no they don't give any time frames. They say when it gets there, it gets there.
Yeah. But Steve, you had pretty good experience. It was a couple of weeks, right?
Well, it was a couple 8 weeks beyond what the normal time was. Probably 3 to 4 weeks from the date of order.
Wow.
That was then. Who knows what it is now? I don't know. So
But I'm sure the wait will be
orders on some things
done.
I've ordered come in pretty quick. I ordered a yoga mat on Monday and it was here by Thursday.
So shipping
Maybe
still
it's
over
improving, maybe
Canada
it's not.
border?
Pardon?
They're still shipping over the border?
Only to the U.S.
Only North America.
So maybe they can be like a masterclass agent in America for the herbs, the tinctures. I mean, maybe that is a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know if we can ship out either, so I don't know.
Oh, really? Oh. Bummer.
We could just have we could create a black market and be like smugglers.
Hopefully it's going to open up soon, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's elevate their souls. That's all we can do. Just elevate, keep elevating.
But the product's there, right? The product is available.
For the time. You know, who knows?
Maybe I can get a cheap ticket to Canada and just pick it up. It's one option. Isn't plane tickets cheap now because no one's flying?
My neighbor
That would be fun.
My neighbor flew home from Florida for $22.
Wow. That's the price that I need from London.
There are tickets to Hawaii for like $130 from Oakland, California.
But I just saw they were arresting tourists for being on the beach in Hawaii, so you can't go there either. Being tourists.
Shit. You're a buzz wrecker, man.
Hey. Hey, don't bury your head. You gotta know what's going on.
We're past 3 hours here. Let's do a little meditation and we'll call it a night.
Yep.
And everybody get comfortable. Whatever position you like, close your eyes. Focus on the breath. With each breath, you get more and more relaxed. Start releasing the tension in your toes, in your feet, your ankles, your shins, your calves, your knees. With each breath, just feel everything loosening up. Your thighs, buttocks, abdomen, lower back, solar plexus, mid back, chest, upper back, shoulders, arms, neck, head. Continuously focusing on the breath. If the mind is racing, just picture a box in the corner of a room and just put the mind in there for a while, close the box. It'll be there when you get back. As we continuously focusing on the breath, we lose the sense of the physicality. Physical body is in a very deep, relaxed state. And we drift off. Floating in space. And as we're moving through space, we see all the people from our past that have moved on. We interact and catch up from the illusion of time we've missed. And that all happens instantaneously because we cannot be separate. We're all one with all parts of creation. Every atom is a part of us. As we're floating through space, we come to a beautiful, wonderful, amazing, crystalline city. Amazing, beautiful, structures that can't even imagine. Skyscrapers beyond what the eye can see. As we float around the city, we see beautiful beings all around. And they're all pointing to a specific, very tall building, miles high. Beautiful crystalline structure. As we're floating up to the top of the building, there's two angels that guide us into the doorway. We enter the doorway. Filled with light unimaginable. We come upon a beautiful crystalline being. And the being holds up a mirror. And he says, "Look in the mirror, and you shall know who I am." feel the love pouring out into the heart. And each one of us is downloading all the information we need, because it's all within us. The choice is clear. To move into the era of peace, balance, and correct conduct. It's the only option left for we as humanity, as beings of light, and have all the universes have and continue to operate in perfection. Beautiful, wonderful, peaceful love pouring out. Like we never felt it before. We specifically direct it into those who we feel need it the most. For they just know not what they do. Because if they did, they wouldn't be able to do it. The message is clear to return and continuously focus on what we call the plasma love always flowing. And continue to elevate all souls, and specifically all the leaders on this planet, to join in the era of peace, balance, correct conduct. We thank the being and we move on, floating back down slowly. As we start coming closer to planet Earth. You can see the planet has been brightened with more light. Beautiful blue planet. Come back down into our bodies. Continuously focusing on the breath. And we start feeling the physical body again. Wiggling your toes, fingers, moving your body around. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And we're back.
And we're back.
Wow. Need to start meditating again.
Yeah, you know,
That's great.
keep the meditation going throughout the day. It doesn't have to when you're just sitting there and closing your eyes. Meditation in motions 24/7.
It's where the peace is. Wow.
Thank you, Rana and Gino, and
Yeah.
everybody else in this room, this virtual room. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just listening to everyone was kind of soothed my nerves compared to when I first entered the room. So I appreciate everyone giving me advice. And yeah, and Rana and Gino, I am thankful for the advice you gave me. And I will continue on a better path, and I will stop, as Gino would say, bastardizing the master fast. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Pleasure to have you all, as usual. We'll continue to elevate all these souls. That's all we can do. Power in the fields. The power is all in the fields. And, you know, some of us that have been master fasting for a while, I think you're starting to understand what that really means. And the physicality is not where the power is. It's all in the fields. And if we continuously focus on that, the physicality will take care of itself. It's that simple. We don't need to have understand it all, because we allow our souls to work in autopilot. And that's where it's at. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good
Peace
one.
out.
Thank you.
Bye, I'm off to bed now. Bye.
Bye.